Chapter 603. Chu Chaoyan is not simple either. His peak state of light contains divine might. His essence can also be condensed into a solid form. The martial technique he practices is also very strong. The two of them are about the same age and come from the same nation. Their strengths are similar. Having them fight the final battle is definitely the best result. Zhong Liang smiled and nodded. That is for the best. As I said earlier, there is no need to care about the rules. If you have the strength, just keep winning. Both of them are proud sons of heaven, a pair of absolute geniuses. This old man is very curious as to who will have the last laugh. After the match between Sima Lingxian and Xiao Chun ended, an hour passed before the next match resumed. This was because the wind cloud platform was severely damaged. There was no way for a normal match to take place. They could only wait for it to recover on its own. After the 98 matches were over, the 99 matches began. The first match was between Gong Yangyu and Lu Xiaoyan. This match was very crucial to both of them. As long as one of them lost, they would immediately fall out of the top 10. The matches were very intense and very exciting, attracting a lot of attention. In the end, Gong Yangyu relied on his killing move, tossing heaven and earth, to obtain a spot in the top 10 after much difficulty. After 10-odd matches, it was Xiao Chen's turn. His opponent was Li Tianhua. He did not give his opponent much of a chance, ending the match within 20 moves. Xiao Chen easily obtained victory. Next match, Chu Chaoyan against Sima Lingxian. Sima Lingxian, who had just been defeated, had already recovered from most of his injuries. However, his confidence had vanished completely. He looked very dispirited, giving off a feeling of being in low spirits. He was like a different person from the previous Sima Lingxian. His aura was completely different. Sima Lingxian had fallen from the clouds to the bottom of the valley, defeated by Xiao Chun in 10 moves. Furthermore, it was an extremely humiliating defeat. Sima Lingxian could not do anything about it. He could not digest the difference in his heart. The strong confidence that he had accumulated over the past 20-odd years had been shattered by Xiao Chun in an instant. A huge flaw appeared in his mental state. Now, when facing the strong Chu Chaoyan, Sima Lingxian could not retaliate at all. He no longer had his previous glory. How hateful! After losing to Xiao Chun, it will be difficult for Lingxian to get into the top 3, the Sima clan's first elder said angrily. Sima Lingxuan's ranking in the ranking matches directly affected the Sima clan's luck for the next 100 years. His dream of winning 3 championships in a row had been shattered, and now he couldn't even get into the top 3. He couldn't help but feel depressed. As he looked at Xiao Chun, a heavy murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He said sullenly, "The Sima clan will make things difficult for whoever makes things difficult for my Sima clan." The elders of the Bai clan, one of the 8 noble clans, were currently discussing Xiao Chen's matter. Their words were filled with murderous intent. The 4 clans Xiao Chun, Saber, Bai Qi. The Ling clans Chun, Xiao, Wu clan Spirit. The 4-season Saber technique is the foundation of our Bai clan. We absolutely cannot reveal it. No matter how this person obtained it, we have to figure it out after the 5-nation youth competition. Furthermore, this person's 4-season Saber technique is clearly stronger than our Bai clan's. We have to find out how he cultivated it. The second brother of the Bai clan's clan head, Bai Qinghe, said sinisterly as he sized up Xiao Chun with a malicious gaze. When Bai Qinghe, the second brother of the Bai clan's clan head, heard these words, he frowned slightly. He felt that something was wrong. If a person's luck was extremely strong, it would be very difficult to catch them. Heaven would be watching over them, and they would not be fated to die. Not only would Bai Qinghe's second uncle's ideas not achieve the desired effect, but they might even attract an enemy who might become a martial emperor in the future. Chu Chaoyan wins. You gain another 2 points. The referee announced the results unhurriedly. After a round of swallowing, Chu Chaoyan's golden dragon grew to 29 meters long, equal to Xiao Chen's. As for Sima Lingxuan's golden dragon, it was no longer as dazzling as before. After 2 consecutive defeats, his golden dragon is shrunk to 27 meters long, only slightly longer than Bai Qi and the others. Roar! Roar! Just as Chu Chaoyun was about to get off the stage, the golden dragon above his head suddenly roared ferociously. It charged at the golden dragon circling above Xiao Chun, bearing its fangs and claws. A ferocious light radiated from it, looking extremely sinister and horrifying. The golden dragon above Xiao Chen's head also fought back, not giving way at all. The two golden dragons flew out of Xiao Chen's control. Suddenly, they flew together and started fighting each other, shocking the onlookers. The final battle has not started yet, and the two golden dragons are already fighting. How interesting. Only one true dragon can exist in this world. It will not allow two true dragons to exist together. Now that only the final battle remains, the two golden dragons probably feel a sense of danger. No matter how many geniuses there are, no matter how outstanding they are, there can only be one main character in each age. To the other geniuses, this glorious age is a tragic age. People like Bai Qi, Yu Chenxi, Lu Xiaoyun, and Xianyuan Jiantian would definitely be the main characters of any age. However, in the age of geniuses, they could only play a supporting role. Xiao Chun and Chu Chaoyun were also terrifyingly strong. They were clearly stronger than the other geniuses. They were rarely seen, and it would not be an exaggeration to call them the absolute proud pair. However, such proud sons of heaven might not be able to become the main character of this great age. This was because there could only be one true dragon. An 89-meter-long golden dragon was just short of 30 meters. 9 was the limit of numbers. As long as it reached 30 meters, it would immediately become a true dragon. The luck that a true dragon obtained was not something that the other false dragons could compare to. The luck of this age of the Sky Dome realm would be added to it. Countless fortuitous encounters, spiritual fortuitous encounters, and all sorts of mysterious phenomena that were not meant to happen would happen to the true dragon. Who was the true dragon? At this moment, only one step remained. Only one final battle remained. Ferocious roars rang out in the sky as the two golden dragons fought. A ferocious aura spread out, scaring the other golden dragons into trembling and hurriedly dodging. Chu Chaoyun and Xiao Chun were both somewhat surprised. They had not expected such a thing to happen. Chu Chaoyun narrowed his eyes and revealed a faint smile on his calm face. He said softly, "Come back." Chu Chaoyun's golden dragon roared in dissatisfaction. Then, it slowly returned to Chu Chaoyun's head, circling left and right, dancing up and down. Xiao Chun gently waved his hand, and his golden dragon returned with a shio sound. Everywhere it passed, the golden dragons of the other participants dodged, not daring to block its sharpness. After the 99th round of matches ended, the organizers let all the participants rest for 2 hours to prepare for the final round of matches. Time slowly went by. At some point, dusk had already arrived, leaving a dim yellow setting sun in the western sky, scattering a mottled glow. The organizers had purposely arranged for the match between Xiao Chun and Chu Chaoyun to be the last match. Shua, shua, shua. The entire place fell silent. Only the sounds of the matches on the wind cloud platform could be heard far away. This was very strange. Normally, even in the worst matches, there would be cultivators who would comment on them, giving their own opinions and insights. However, at this moment, the place fell completely silent. No one said anything. They just watched the matches quietly. The matches that had been bustling for the past few days had calmed down just like that. There would always be a peaceful night before a storm. The sky, the dark clouds, the sound of the wind, the sound of breathing, and even the fights on the wind cloud platform all gave off a sense of tranquility. The matches of the final round slowly came to an end. By the time the 49th match was over, the sky had already turned dark. Since the start of the Five Nation Youth Competition, there had never been a night match. However, the final match had already piqued the interest of countless people. Clearly, they could not wait another night. Zhong Liang, who was on the platform, waved his right hand. Bang, bang, bang. The other 9 wind cloud platforms around the largest wind cloud platform lit up with flames. Who? The flames made that tall and vast wind cloud platform looked mysterious. The four referees flew out from the various platforms. However, they did not ascend the wind cloud platform like they usually did. Instead, they floated in the air as though they were afraid of the two people who would fight later. The final match begins now. Heavenly Saber Pavilions, Xiao Chun and Misty Sword Sex, Chu Chaoyan, quickly enter the arena. The four referees shouted in unison in the silent night. Their voices were like thunder, resounding in all directions. Everyone could hear them clearly. The emotions that had been calm for a long time immediately surged. After 3 years of waiting, more than half a month of competition, and 180 matches, the final match was finally about to begin. Xiao! Xiao! Two figures soared into the air in the darkness. Their clothes were very ordinary. However, the darkness of the night did not seem to be able to hide the glow of their bodies. Among the millions of people, they shone brightly, allowing everyone to see them clearly at a glance. Their gazes unwittingly started to follow the trajectory of the two in the air. Kung Chong. The two drew their sabers and swords and brandished the weapons in their hands. Then saber chi and sword chi tore through the night sky and tore 2 holes in the wind cloud barrier with a cassier sound. The tough wind cloud barrier was as thin as a cicada's wings in the two's hands. It did not have any resistance at all, easily breaking apart with a casual strike. The two gently drifted down and put away their weapons. Without making any sound, they landed on the ground at the same time. Chu Chaoyan always had a calm expression on his face. There was a faint smile in his eyes, but it was indistinct. No one could see through it. The two did not say anything. They just stared at each other, building up their auras. Under the pressure of their auras, the air in the air turned viscous, almost solidifying. Suddenly, Chu Chaoyan said, "Don't you feel that this is very strange? 4 years ago, you could not even receive half an attack from me. Now, you can stand here and compete with me for the luck of the Sky Dome realm." Xiao Chun said calmly, "What is so strange about that? There will definitely be a fight between us. It is just a matter of time. No one in this world can understand the loneliness and solitude that I have endured. The people who defeated me 4 years ago have already lost to me. You will not be an exception." Holding his scabbard with his right hand, Chu Chaoyun casually leaned against the ground. Then, he combed his hair back and smiled faintly. After some thought, he said, "In that case, draw your saber. Let me see how much you have grown for you to be so confident." Chu Chaoyun's tone was calm and serene. However, it hid an overwhelming fighting spirit. Right after he spoke, the aura that he had been storing up turned into a strong wind that roared at Xiao Chun. Chapter 604. Xiao Chen's clothes and accessories instantly gave off a resplendent golden light. His golden hair fluttered in the wind, and his pitch-black eyes turned golden as well. Tens of thousands of rays of light burst forth from his body, causing the colorless and odorless wind to shine with a golden light, radiating sharpness in all directions. Faintly, the sound of countless swords humming in the wind was singing a tune that no one could understand. As the strong wind howled, the light was piercing. This heavy night was like a thick piece of cloth being torn apart by this golden light, turning into countless shards. Xiao Chen's delicate face did not change at all. Even if the sky fell and the earth cracked, he would face it calmly. There was no fear in Xiao Chen's heart because he had a saber in his hand. Xiao Chun said softly, "As you wish." Cassier. Xiao Chun drew the lunar shadow saber by 1 centimeter. Instantly, boundless electric light turned into a leaping purple light. Then, it burst out together with the aura that Xiao Chun had been storing up. The white clear breeze robe and the accessories on it all turned into pieces of sparkling and translucent purple. His deep eyes turned into endless lightning, and in the deepest part of his eyes, there were countless blades trembling and cheering. The strong wind behind Xiao Chun, compressed by his aura, howled. Countless electric lights leaped about in the wind, crackling endlessly. Bang! The golden and purple gales collided with each other, causing a deafening explosion in the silent night. It was deafening and indescribable. The two of them raised their auras, and the strong wind formed a semicircle of light. One golden and one purple, they clashed with each other, not giving way at all. The golden semicircle of light had millions of strands of light reflecting off each other, giving off a dreamlike radiance. Countless berserk electric lights leaped about on the purple semicircle of light. When the electric lights exploded, vague ripples appeared in space. The golden light and the purple electric lights clashed, giving off an extremely strong energy that caused countless tiny cracks to appear in the wind cloud platform. In the blink of an eye, the huge wind cloud platform looked like a spiderweb. Cracks spread everywhere. Boom! The two auras were evenly matched, neither gaining the upper hand. The two of them lost the patience to continue waiting. They drew their sabers and swords again. The golden and purple semicircular balls of light exploded in an instant, emitting a deafening explosion. The instant the two drew their weapons, the 1,000-meter-wide wind cloud platform shattered. Countless hard rocks floated in the air. Before they had even made their move, half of the wind cloud platform had already been destroyed. The spectating martial artists were dumbfounded. Such a scene was completely unimaginable. Even the other giants, Bai Qi, Lu Xiaoyan, Wang Quan, and the others, were filled with shock. They felt like something was stuck in their throats, making it hard for them to speak. Fight! The two of them let out a long roar. They held their treasured swords and brandished their long sabers. With boundless battle intent, he charged towards the other party with lightning speed. Clang, clang, clang. When the saber and sword clashed, countless sparks flew. The two in midair moved as fast as the wind and the sun. Ordinary cultivators could only see two blurry beams of light, one gold and one purple, crisscrossing in the air, flying up and down, leaving behind countless afterimages as they flickered. As the condensed saber chi and sword chi moved about, tiny cracks appeared in the void. The two's materialized saber chi and sword chi had actually reached a level that some inferior-grade martial monarchs could not achieve. They even tore space apart. The surrounding wind cloud barrier immediately shredded into countless pieces like it was made of thin paper. Wind and thunder roared, and the light scattered. After several dozen moves, the wind cloud barrier was completely destroyed. The 10 dragon pillars around the wind cloud platform could no longer spit out energy, flowing light passing shadows. Suddenly, Chu Chaoyun, who was in an intense battle, shouted. His body turned into a beam of light, leaving 81 afterimages at Xiao Chen's side. Each afterimage sent a sword strike at Xiao Chun. Each sword strike used a different move. Some chopped, and some stabbed. Golden light flashed on the swords. The 81 flickering golden lights merged into one, dazzling everyone's eyes. Before this sword strike, Xiao Chen's 5 senses became mere decorations. He could not see clearly at all. Roaming dragons, 9 transformations. Transform, transform, transform. Xiao Chun shouted, and his body split into 9. The crystalline essence in his body spun continuously as he executed the roaming dragon's 9 transformations. 81 clones appeared in the air as well. Each of the clones also sent out a saber strike, blocking the sword techniques of Chu Chaoyun's afterimages. Kung, kung. In that instant, countless sabers and swords clashed together, forming a horrifying sonic boom. They turned into surging shock waves that surged into the surroundings like a raging river. The expressions of the 4 referees floating 500 meters away from the wind cloud platform turned grave. They quickly made their move, each sending out a quintessence shield to block the shock waves. The 4 old men were shocked. They exchanged glances and projected their voices. What a strong shock wave! Even a newly advanced martial monarch would not be a match for these two. If this shock wave had spread out, the spectators in the first 5 rows would have been significantly injured. Fortunately, the city lord had foresight and told us to take precautions outside. Otherwise, many cultivators would have died in this 5-nation youth competition. Merge! Merge! However, The two people in the air above the wind cloud platform were not in the mood to care about the gazes of others. They shouted at the same time. 81 figures merged back together in that instant, giving off a bright light. In the pitch-dark night, the two's light burst forth. At this moment, the darkness was completely suppressed by their light. The dueling ring became as bright as day. Dang! The saber and sword chopped at each other at the same time, fast, accurate, ruthless, and callous. The golden sword light and the purple saber light clashed. Boundless energy spread out and tore the space around the two into pieces. A huge force rebounded. The two, who had just merged back together, separated in an instant. They both spun around and vented out the energy flowing in their bodies. Xiao Chun stabilized himself and gently floated up. He stood on the dragon head of a dragon pillar and held his saber with one hand. His white clear wind robes fluttered in the strong wind. On the other side, Chu Chaoyan stood on a dragon pillar as well. The light on his body was withdrawn. Only his sword occasionally emitted golden sword chi. The two were separated by a kilometer. The wind cloud platform in the middle was in a sorry state. It was riddled with holes and was in a sorry state. There was not even a place to stand. The dragon chi that leaked out was also turbid. The shock waves from the two's exchange sliced it into millions of pieces. It did not even have a chance to let out a dragon roar. Chu Chaoyan tightened his grip on his sword. He revealed a rarely seen wildness on his face. He smiled and said, "I have not fought to my heart's content in a long time. Xiao Chun, you are indeed qualified to say such words. However, the show is just beginning. Did you know? Boundless light, vast and mighty divine might." Chu Chaoyan shouted, and the thick clouds in the sky suddenly parted. A blazing pillar of light descended and tore through the night sky, encasing Chu Chaoyan. This was not the first time the crowd saw Chu Chaoyan execute the state of light that contained divine might. However, when they saw it again in the dark night, they had a different feeling. In contrast to the night sky, the blazing golden pillar of light looked even more piercing and dazzling. Divine might spread out, and a dignified aura spread out. Everyone could not help but feel a desire to worship Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun tore off the strip of cloth covering his forehead. A peak state of massacre surged out from the immortal state of thunder. The two merged and formed a strange purple-red light, blocking the other party's divine might. Clouds move in all directions, wind and lightning gather. With the two states merged, Xiao Chun executed the starting stance of the lightning tribulation saber technique, taking the initiative to attack. The wind blew from all directions and the thunderclouds above his head churned. Compared to usual, the thunderclouds above his head had an additional sharp, killing intent. When Chu Chaoyan saw this, he thought to himself, "Using the peak state of massacre to make up for the lack of my state of wind and cloud, he will be much more difficult to deal with." As Xiao Chun thought, he quickly sent out his first saber strike. Chu Chaoyan stood on the dragon pillar, not intending to move. He sent out many golden sword images. The flashes of the sword images were very unusual. It was like there were many Chu Chaoyan sending out hundreds of moves at the same time. Unexpectedly, this sword strike contained the shadow of the eternal light. It was similar to the eternal light sword technique, but it was much less mighty. However, it was faster and easier to execute. Chu Chaoyan did not move from his original position. When he swung his sword, he knocked back Xiao Chun. Its might actually surpassed that of Xiao Chen's, who carried the momentum of the lightning tribulation. When Xiao Chen saw this, he was not surprised. He pushed off the air and did a somersault, sending out a second saber strike. Chop, chop, chop. Xiao Chen sent out 5 saber strikes, each one stronger than the one before. Although Chu Chaoyan still did not move, cracks appeared on the dragon pillar under his feet. The lightning infused with the state of massacre gave off a desolate state of massacre. It was very similar to the cold and emotionless aura of the heavenly Tao. Earthly lightning tribulation. The momentum of the lightning tribulation finally reached its peak. The lightning attributed spiritual energy on the ground resonated with the lightning whirlpool in the sky. Xiao Chun roared ferociously and turned into the heavenly Tao, sending down the first lightning tribulation. Extreme Light Realm. Knowing the might of this saber strike, Chu Chaoyan did not dare to use saber intent. He sent out thousands of light screens in front of him, layering over each other and forming a thick mirror of light. Bang! There was a loud explosion, but the mirror of light did not shatter. However, the dragon pillar under Chu Chaoyun's feet completely shattered. Unexpectedly, the power of the saber could penetrate the light mirror and still be so mighty. Chu Chaoyun's complexion paled slightly as he scattered the extreme light realm. Then, he turned into a beam of light and headed for another dragon pillar. What a strong lightning tribulation saber technique. It infused the state of massacre, raising its might to another level. The lightning tribulation destroys all life. Actually, it is killing. This state of massacre is completely compatible with the lightning tribulation saber technique. Unexpectedly, when Xiao Chan fought by Qi earlier, he did not use it. Just by relying on this lightning tribulation saber technique, Xiao Chun can probably defeat Bai Qi. He really hit it well. Chu Chaoyun is at a disadvantage. If he does not use eternal light and inextinguishable divine light, he will not be able to block it. After witnessing the horrifying might of the lightning tribulation saber technique, several cultivators started discussing it. The previously evenly matched situation finally showed some signs of change. Heavenly lightning tribulation. Xiao Chun roared ferociously again as he descended from the sky, bringing with him heavenly might. His expression was emotionless, as though Chu Chaoyun was a sinner who violated heavenly might. Chapter 605. I have to break his momentum. The lightning tribulation saber technique is somewhat out of my expectations, Chu Chaoyan thought to himself as he watched Xiao Chang grow stronger the more he fought. Xiao, the golden longsword in his hand suddenly turned in a circle, and the radiance that filled the sky condensed into a heavenly sword that shot toward the blood-colored lightning vortex above Xiao Chen's head. There is righteousness in heaven and earth, and it is called awe-inspiring. Above are the stars, and below are the mountains and rivers. With the bright heaven and earth, how can we be afraid of demons? Under the vast curtain of night, a loud and clear song suddenly rang out. The song was resounding and impassioned, as if there were tens of thousands of voices rising and falling between heaven and earth. In the pillar of light, Chu Chaoyun's lips moved as he led the chanting of tens of thousands of people. Abundant, awe-inspiring sword chi gathered on the light soared along with the song, causing the brilliance of the heavenly sword to be dazzling. Chu Chaoyun's expression was solemn, and he condensed a vast amount of divine might to emit a divine voice that resounded in the surroundings. The heavens and the earth are unfair. They can't differentiate between good and evil, and they distort black and white. Since it's like this, then what's the use of the heavens? With an awe-inspiring righteousness in his chest, his heart is as magnanimous as a gentleman's, fearless of evil and fearless of the heavens. Chu Chaoyan stopped chanting and shouted. He waved his hand, and the dazzling heavenly sword drew a space crack that was darker than the night sky and disappeared in a flash. Xiao! The spatial crack drawn by the heavenly sword did not disperse for a long time. With a whoosh, it split the terrifying thundercloud vortex in the sky into two. As Chu Chaoyan played and sang, he waved his hand to destroy the heavens, instantly destroying the foundation of the lightning tribulation saber technique, the power of the heavenly Tao. Under the pillar of light, Chu Chaoyan's movement seemed to be frozen in time. He was like a god walking in the world, holy and dazzling, righteous and eternal. His words were justice. If he said to destroy the heavens, then it was definitely the heavens that were unfair. It wasn't that he was being rebellious and offending the heavens. Seeing this shocking scene, everyone was speechless for a long time. They could not think of any words to describe their current feelings. The final battle was simply too shocking. First, the two of them fought evenly for 100 moves. Then, they easily reduced the wind cloud platform to rubble. A regular inferior-grade martial monarch would not be able to break the wind cloud barrier. Yet, The two of them casually broke it without any difficulty. Xiao Chun had just gained the upper hand, using the might of the heavenly Tao to suppress Chu Chaoyun, making everyone think that victory was tilting towards him. Chu Chaoyun immediately made a move and destroyed the heavenly might in an instant, turning the situation around in one fell swoop. The spectators didn't even have time to adjust their emotions. Up in the air, Xiao Qin's expression immediately changed. The aura of the saber vanished. Not even a trace remained. With his foundation destroyed, his aura was affected as well. His internal organs churned, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Retreat, retreat, retreat. Xiao Qin paused and held his saber horizontally in front of him. Then, he pushed off with his feet and flew backward. The friction between his body and the air gave off sonic booms. Chu Chaoyun's somewhat pale face smiled gently and said, "You think you can retreat? Sword come." Xiao Chan stretched out his hand, and the sword floating in the air immediately flew over. He pushed off the dragon's head and leaped into the air. Then he grasped his sword tightly with his right hand. Divine might, eternal light. After Chu Chaoyun grasped his sword again, he narrowed his eyes. In that instant, he drained half of the remaining substantial essence in his body. Seizing the initiative that the opponent lost, he firmly grasped the advantage and slowly expanded it. This was how Chu Chaoyun had always done things. Now that Xiao Chun seized the initiative, he immediately executed the enlarged version of Eternal Light. Boom, boom, boom. 9 beams of golden light shot down from the sky. When each beam landed, it illuminated Chu Chaoyun's figure in the night sky. It was like he teleported in the air. Chu Chaoyun covered 100 meters with each step. He took 9 steps in a row. With each step, he executed a beam of eternal light, sending out 99,900 sword strikes. He held them in and waited for the 9 steps to be completed. Chu Chaoyun caught up to Xiao Chun. The light from his body was as dazzling as the sun. At this moment, night turned into day. When the sword was drawn, the light was eternal. Space shattered. There was no way to dodge. With the support of the divine might, the 9 beams of eternal light miraculously merged together. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Just one beam of eternal light could severely injure an ordinary inferior grade martial monarch. When 9 beams merged together, they could even destroy one. You are too much. Do you really think that I, Xiao Chun, cannot retaliate? You want to severely injure me in one move. If you want to clash head-on, then so be it. Xiao Chen's face sank. He quickly executed the final move of the 4-season saber technique, Cycle of Seasons. In spring, thunder roars, birds and beasts cry. In summer, the blazing sun blazes in the sky, burning the surroundings. In autumn, it drizzles, people smile faintly. In winter, the frost is like the moon. The flowing water hurts. In that instant, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, the 4 seasons that belonged to Xiao Chun alone quickly materialized. All sorts of mysterious phenomena appeared and disappeared at a speed that the naked eye could not capture. 100 cycles manifested, materializing the boundless power of the cycle of seasons. The world ages, the blue sea turns into mulberry fields. After 10,000 years, only the cycle of seasons does not change. The heavenly Tao does not stop. Cycle of seasons. The force of the saber caused space to distort. The shattered space that Chu Chaoyun's sword strike actually retreated strangely. When the Bai clan elders saw this scene, they could not help but stand up. They muttered, "How can this be? How can the might of the cycle of seasons be so strong?" In the Bai clan, only the core disciples and inner sect elders could practice the 4-season saber technique. Although they could not be like Bai Qi, who grasped it at the age of 23, they could not help but stand up. However, there were many people who had studied the 4-season saber technique for decades. They could execute the cycle of seasons as well. However, compared to Xiao Chun, the might of this cycle of seasons was worlds apart. Although they were several cultivation realms higher than Xiao Chun, if they really competed with this cycle of seasons, they would undoubtedly lose. This was because that state was too compatible with Shao Chun. They even had the misconception that the four-season saber technique was a martial technique created solely for Shao Chun. Bai Qi's expression was unsightly. He had never felt such a great sense of defeat before, not even when he lost to Sima Lingxian. In the hands of an outsider, the inherited saber technique of the Bai clan was actually 10 times stronger than the Bai clan's. Boom! The divine might's eternal light clashed head-on with Shao Chen's cycle of seasons. There was a loud sound, and a 3-kilometer-tall shock wave soared into the clouds. Amid the shock wave, thousands of lights exploded, water flowed, thunder roared, a blazing sun appeared, and all sorts of mysterious phenomena appeared. Under the clash of the two, the entire wind cloud arena crumbled. The fragments contained a huge force. The shock waves tore space apart and shot towards the spectator stands like a torrential storm. The 4 referees would not be able to block such a large-scale shockwave. Zhong Liang's expression changed drastically. He said sullenly, "Wind, cloud, thunder, lightning, autumn, wind, frost, and moon, heed my command. Quickly make your move. Make sure not a single fragment lands on the spectator stands." Roger. The 8 old men on the platform released their peak martial monarch auras. They did not hold back at all. Their figures flashed, and they vanished. Bang, 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 bang. The appearance of the 8 elders immediately allowed the 4 referees to heave a sigh of relief. They quickly increased their strength and punched the fragments flying out. Unexpectedly, the 8 elders under the Dragon Sealing City's city lord all moved out. What kind of monsters are those 2? This is too horrifying. The quality of the final battle of this 5-nation youth competition is probably the strongest in the past 3,000 years. No one will surpass it even in the next 1,000 years. Sima Lingxian and Bai Qi's defeat at the hands of these 2 is not undeserved. They have already gone too far. Looking at the 8 people fighting in the air above the arena, the hearts of the spectators were in a mess, and they could not help but sigh in amazement. How strong must they be for the 8 peak martial monarchs to attack together to ensure that the shockwaves would not reach them? After a long time, the chaotic shockwaves dissipated completely. The light on Chu Chaoyan and Shao Chen's bodies had vanished. Their clothes were also tattered. Blood leaked out of the corners of their mouths, and their complexions were incredibly pale. The wind cloud platform under their feet had vanished long ago, leaving only a bottomless hole. Who knew what was hidden there? Although the 2 were in a sorry state and covered in wounds, their eyes shone with a bright light. However, their eyes shone brightly. Their fighting spirit burned like a raging fire. Their thirst for victory did not stop at all. Suddenly, Shao Chun laughed loudly, laughing heartily to his heart's content. Chu Chaoyan casually sent out a flower with his sword. He revealed a suspicious expression as he asked, "What are you laughing at?" Shao Chun smiled and replied, "I'm laughing at how the heavens are so kind to me. I have experienced all the loneliness and worries of the world. What I seek is not to be unrivaled, but to reach the peak of the martial way, to become a hero like the Thunder King. No one in the same generation is a match for me. Those who defeat me are all my defeats. Only you, Chu Chaoyan, have not been defeated by me. If not for you, how would I be lonely in this vast sky dome realm? 2 years ago, at the foot of Desolate City, you invited me to decide victory in one move. 2 years later, I will return these words to you. I only ask you this. Do you dare to decide victory in one move again?" Chu Chaoyun laughed loudly, and his sword gave off a sharp light. He said, "Why not?" Hu Qi. Outside the wind cloud platform, the other 9 small wind cloud platforms blazed with flames. The leaping fire reflected on Shao Chen's and Chu Chaoyun's faces, flickering. When the hundreds of thousands of cultivators in the spectator stands heard that the 2 wanted to decide victory in one move, they did not dare to blink. They did not even dare to blink as they circulated their essence in their eyes and stared fixedly at the 2 people above the hole. This is too intense. Even that wind cloud platform was destroyed by the 2 of them. To think that the victor has not been decided yet. Chu Chaoyun has not used the inextinguishable divine light yet. I wonder what other trump cards he has not used. Could he have an even more horrifying martial technique than the cycle of seasons? He probably does. Otherwise, he would not say that. However, it is hard to imagine what martial technique that is. However, that inextinguishable divine light condensed the divine might into something solid. Even a full-powered strike from a peak inferior grade martial monarch would not be able to break it. I still do not dare to believe that someone below martial monarch can break Chu Chaoyun's inextinguishable divine light. Chapter 606. There was still one more move before the champion of this five-nation youth competition would be revealed. Everyone was very excited as they discussed this. The 4 referees and the 8 great elders of the City Lord's mansion who were floating outside the martial arts competition stage had heavy expressions on their faces. They were ready for battle, afraid that the 2 of them would cause some big commotion and harm the innocent. It has been a long time since such an outstanding talent appeared. The quality of this five-nation youth competition is probably second only to the battle between the Thunder King and the Saber Demon 5,000 years ago. That year was also a golden age for cultivators. The Saber Demon and the Thunder King also fought with sabers and swords. The Wind Cloud platform was also destroyed by the attacks of the 2. The 10-odd old men floating outside used their voices to form lines. As they stared at the 2, they sighed and chatted idly. Rumble. Just at this moment, something strange happened. The entire dueling ring suddenly shook violently. The cultivators and the spectator stand were caught off guard, and many of them fell to the ground. Less than half of the people reacted quickly and jumped to the ground in an instant. The ground within 10 kilometers of the dueling ring was like a small boat in a huge wave. It tossed and turned without any pattern. Without being a martial king, one could not hover in the air. 80% of the cultivators who came to spectate were not martial kings. When they fell to the ground, they could not get up again. What's going on? What happened? The scene immediately turned chaotic in the dark night. Anxious cries mixed together, making the situation even more chaotic. The seal on the dragon vein has loosened. The expression of the dragon sealing city's city lord, Zhong Liang, changed slightly. He immediately stood up, and a surging energy spread out from under his feet. This caused the ground within a kilometer to calm down, a stark contrast to the surroundings. Roar! A dragon roar came from a hole under Xiao Chun and Chu Chaoyun's feet. The dragon's roar was even louder than heavenly thunder. In an instant, it drowned out all the noise. When the weaker martial kings in the air heard this roar, their aura became unstable. Blood leaked out of the corner of their mouths as they fell from the sky. Roar! 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 There were another 3 dragon roars. Dragons might spread everywhere. Only a few martial kings remained standing in the air. The ground shook even more intensely. It was like the end of the world, terrifying everyone. Zhong Liang waved his right hand, and a golden medallion appeared in his hand. The medallion was rhombus-shaped and had ancient and complicated patterns carved on it. The golden medallion gave off a faint light in the dark night, giving off a mysterious and ancient energy. Zhong Liang, don't be in a hurry to use the dragon sealing token. The seal on the dragon veins hasn't loosened. It's just that all 4 dragon veins have awakened. Just as Zhong Liang was about to use the dragon sealing token, an aged voice rang out in his mind. Zhong Liang paused slightly. Clearly, he was very surprised by the voice in his head. He replied respectfully, "Great-grandfather, the ley line has awakened." "Do you mean?" Zhong was stunned. "Dragon, Zhong Dragon. Dragon King. Dragon Zhongzhe Dragon Lord, Zabel Zhong." He put away the dragon sealing medallion and said, "So that's how it is. It looks like I was overthinking." At the same time, a loud dragon roar came from the seals used to suppress the dragon veins in the 5 great empires 5,000 kilometers away. The 9 dragon veins roared in unison, resonating with each other. The sound pierced through space and time and gathered in Dragon's sealing city, causing the ground to shake even more intensely. Above the hole, Xiao Chun had already moved to the side. He looked down at the deep hole and revealed a doubtful expression. After a long time, the roar containing boundless dragon might slowly faded into the air. The entire dueling ground regained its calm. That was definitely dragon might earlier. The dragon veins have awakened. This is too shocking. There were a total of 4 dragon roars. All 4 dragon veins have awakened. One of these 2 must be a monarch-grade true dragon. You heard wrong. There were 9 dragon roars, not 4. Only a king-grade true dragon can cause such a huge commotion. Controlling the 9 dragon veins, a king-tier true dragon. Isn't that as famous as the Thunder Emperor back then? Could it be that one of them will be the future Thunder Emperor? After the crowd calmed down and understood what had happened, the fear in their hearts naturally disappeared. They looked at Xiao Chun and Zhongzhe with a fervent gaze. What kind of person was the Thunder King? He was the strongest Emperor Wu after the destruction of the Tianwu dynasty. He was unrivaled in his era. Even in the Kunlun realm, where there were many emperors, he ranked highly. Ever since the 9 dragons escaped and the spirit veins fell into chaos, he was the only true expert in the Tianwu continent who could stand firm in the Kunlun realm. In the Tianwu continent, Zhongzhe was a legend. His story was a legend. Now, these 2 people before Xiao Chun might one day be as famous as the Thunder King. Holding his sword with one hand, Chu Chaoyan smiled gently and said, "I forgot to tell you, there is no earth-ranked martial technique that can break the defense of the inextinguishable divine light, not even the cycle of seasons." Xiao Chun smiled faintly and said indifferently, "Since I am confident of defeating you, naturally, I will not speak carelessly. Just make your move." Without saying anything more, a golden light reappeared on Chu Chaoyan's body. Then he pointed his sword at the sky. A divine voice came from the sky. That was the voice of a deity. It contained the might of an ancient deity. As it spread out, everyone felt a boundless pressure. Xiao, a circular golden pillar of light, descended from the sky and encased Chu Chaoyan. The light instantly turned solid. Divine might flowed out, making that pillar of light look like an eternal pillar supporting the heavens. However, Chu Chaoyan, who was in the pillar of light, did not passively defend. He shouted ferociously and held his sword above his head with both hands. Then, he used the might of an ancient deity and hacked at Xiao Chun. The solid pillar of divine might connected the sky and earth. Unexpectedly, it turned into a huge, unparalleled sword light, chopping down the world. I never said that the inextinguishable divine light can only be used for defense. Fall for me. Chu Chaoyan looked coldly at Xiao Chun. No matter what, he had to obtain the king-grade true dragon's luck. Such a strong martial technique can be used for offense. This is too heaven-defying. Such a startling sword strike tore space into countless pieces like it was a piece of cloth. Everyone was horrified, not daring to imagine it. When the sword light arrived, Xiao Chun was as insignificant as an ant. It felt like he could be squashed to death. Xiao Chun, who had been holding his saber with one hand, placed his left hand on his saber's hilt. His expression was calm as he said, "An earth-ranked martial technique cannot break it. Unfortunately, I'm not using an earth-ranked martial technique. The heaven-ranked martial technique exclusive to the Blue Dragon martial spirit. The dragon subduing Slash's first move, the return of the Blue Dragon, circulated quickly in Xiao Chun's body. A boundless sea materialized behind Xiao Chun. This sea was even vaster than Xinyuan Zhantian's state of water. All Xiao Chun saw was the vast sea. The water was boundless and boundless, giving off a spirit of swallowing up the world. What is he doing? Why is he not executing the cycle of seasons and resisting the inextinguishable divine light? What is the mysterious phenomenon of the sea? Indeed, the inextinguishable divine light is such a strong martial technique. If he uses the cycle of seasons, he might still have a chance of survival. If he does not use it, isn't he just seeking death? The many cultivators in the spectator stands could not understand what Xiao Chun was doing. The hearts of the elders and brothers of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion leaped to their throats. At such a crucial moment, how could Xiao Chun be so rash? Shin Manjun, who had been silent all this while, frowned heavily. Suddenly, she said to Jiang Qi and the others, "Later, Xiao Chun might be severely injured or killed in one move. I am preparing to catch Xiao Chun in advance." Jiang Qi's expression changed drastically as he said, "Is it that serious?" Shin Manjun sighed softly and said that Chu Chaoyan used a secret technique to raise his state of light to the will of light in a short time. Whether I can catch Xiao Chun or not is a question mark. While the two of them were conversing rapidly, the sky-raising sword had already swept over with a sword light that reached the heavens. The void shattered and cracks spread out. The dark night was chopped into pieces by this sword, and space became chaotic. Xiao Chen's expression remained calm. At this critical moment, he did not panic at all. He only spread out the crystal-like essence in his body, maintaining the vast and boundless sea. Blue Dragon goes to sea. When the startling sword light was within 100 meters of Xiao Chun, the aura that Xiao Chun had been storing up erupted with a loud roar. Bang! 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 A chain of explosions resounded in the vast sea behind Xiao Chun. 3,000 pillars of water soared into the sky. Each pillar of water contained boundless energy, tearing 3,000 black holes in space. All the sounds merged together, and the sky paused. At this moment, the world suddenly fell silent. The whistling of the sword light, the howling of the strong wind, and the discussions of the crowd all fell strangely silent. Suddenly, a clear dragon roar resounded in this silent world. A blue dragon leaped out of the sea under Xiao Chun. A horrifying dragon might spread out. It was no weaker than the might of the dragon vein. Dragons lurked in the deep abyss, kings of the four seas. They soared into the 9 heavens, lords of the sky, omnipotent. Chapter 607. Do not bully a blue dragon when it is trapped in a shallow pool. Do not bully a ferocious tiger when it is on the plain. One day, the water of the dragon will cause the rivers to flow in reverse. When the winds and clouds gathered again, the blue dragon leaped out of the sea. Heaven-ranked martial technique. This is a heaven-ranked martial technique. The hundreds of thousands of people present all cried out and stood up at the same time. Shock filled their eyes. They had not expected Xiao Chun to be able to execute a heaven-ranked martial technique as a half-step martial monarch. This completely surpassed everyone's expectations. Shin Manjun, who had been preparing to make a move at any moment, was stunned as well. She muttered, "What fortuitous encounter did this child have?" The pitch-black lunar shadow, saber, burst forth with a 3-kilometer-long light. The light turned solid, containing a boundless dragon might. Standing on the blue dragon, the silent Xiao Chun soared into the air. As the dragon roared, he sent out a 3-kilometer-long saber light before everyone's eyes. Bang! 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 The blue dragon clashed with the inextinguishable divine light. The saber light clashed with the sword light. The dragon might clashed with the divine might. An inconceivably strong force burst forth in an instant. The surrounding shattered space immediately turned into a mess like fallen leaves. Spatial tears littered the place. The 2 pillars of light clashed intensely. The dragon roar and the divine sound turned into azure and golden rings of light. They spread out for 500 kilometers, spreading out like ripples on water. The clash of the dragon gods resounded in the sky and ground, tormenting the cultivators with lower cultivations below. They all circulated their energies to shut off their sense of hearing or work together to resist the 2 auras. Kassier, the saber light and the sword light, which were 3,000 meters long, shattered and scattered into thousands of splendor. The expressions of the 12 martial monarchs below changed drastically. They all executed their best moves and flickered in the air, shattering the beams of light in advance. The light exploded, and in that instant, the night sky gave off a bright purple light. It was as beautiful as fireworks. However, the cultivators below were pale. They covered their entire bodies with essence to protect themselves. Everyone knew that this beautiful thing could easily take the life of a martial saint if it landed on their body. In the gorgeous night sky, Xiao Chun and Chu Chaoyun, who were at the center of the storm, were pale. Their weapons clashed with each other, neither giving way to the other. Blood trickled down the corner of Chu Chaoyun's mouth. He gripped his sword with both hands and blocked Xiao Chun's blade. Then, he pushed forward, forcing Xiao Chun to step back in the void. Chu Chaoyun's lips curled up slightly. He smiled gently and said, "Forcefully executing a heaven-ranked martial technique must be very painful, right? If you give up now, you might still be able to keep your life. My light has already transformed into my will, and you will definitely collapse before me. Even if you struggle to hold on, you will only taste the bitter fruit of failure." The aftereffects of executing the blue dragon returns to the sea had already started to show. Xiao Chen's bones, flesh, and blood felt like they were being drilled by knives. His skin burst open, revealing thin wounds. Chu Chaoyun's strength surpassed Xiao Chen's expectations. Unexpectedly, the blue dragon returns to the sea did not defeat him instantly. Chu Chaoyun's words seemed to have a magical power. "I might as well admit defeat and forget the pain of being pierced by thousands of arrows." "Never." The other party forcefully raised the state of light to a will. "How can the pain he has to endure be any less than mine? As long as I have a saber in my hand, I will never admit defeat." Xiao Chen clenched his teeth and endured silently. The blue dragon returns to the sea, felt Xiao Chen's will, and let out a long roar. Its slightly weakened aura rose again, preventing Xiao Chun from retreating. Unexpectedly, another force came from the saber. "Never admit defeat. Even if you are trapped in a shallow pool, without water, being mocked by the world, being humiliated by the weak, do not give up the pride in your heart, because you are a dragon among men. However, a worm is a worm. No matter how cocky it is, it will never become a dragon. When the tide rises and falls, a dragon will eventually soar into the world." Xiao Chen rejoiced in his heart. Never admit defeat. So this is the true meaning of the blue dragon returns to the sea. Only by comprehending the true meaning could one bring out the greatest might of the blue dragon returns to the sea. Otherwise, it would just be for show. The 3-kilometer-long light on the saber condensed again. There was a move within a move, a saber within a saber. Xiao Chun smiled softly and said, "Chu Chaoyun, you are the one who will lose." Once he comprehended it, the winds and clouds rose again. The saber light that condensed again was twice as powerful as the initial one. Its aura flourished, vast and boundless. Chu Chaoyun's calm expression suddenly changed. Bang! Xiao Chun grasped his saber with both hands and pressed it forward. The blue dragon roared, and the golden light on Chu Chaoyun's sword broke. The scattered golden light fell like rain. The area where the golden light fell was too wide. The 12 martial monarch old men were not strong enough. So the golden light fell towards the spectator stands. The cultivators below immediately soared into the air and fled in all directions. Rumble! The golden light landed and blasted deep holes in the spectator stands outside the dueling ring. It was a ghastly sight. Defeat! Xiao Chen shouted, and the saber light hacked at Chu Chaoyun, who was flying back. Bang! Chu Chaoyun could not dodge in time. He vomited a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground like a willow catkin. The light on his body turned into thousands of tiny golden lines and quickly left his body. This final ray of light reflected a magnificent sea of light in the night sky. Chu Chaoyun looked like a deity that had fallen to the mundane world. His long hair fluttered in the wind, and his handsome face was filled with a loneliness that was hard to understand. The moment Chu Chaoyun was defeated, he lost his divine might. When the light completely vanished from his body, the deity-like Chu Chaoyun finally became an ordinary person. As Xiao Chun gazed at Xiao Chun, a golden flame burned in the depths of Chu Chaoyun's eyes. However, after a while, Chu Chaoyun gave up on resisting. The golden flame in his eyes vanished, and his body drifted downwards. Once Chu Chaoyun executed the heavenly flame, his identity would be exposed. Furthermore, with only a tenth of the heavenly flame, he might not be able to defeat the imposing Shao Chun. This is just the beginning of the story. The ending is already decided. However, the process is somewhat unexpected. The 12 martial monarchs attacked together and shattered the remaining golden light, creating countless fireworks. Chu Chaoyun closed his eyes amid the fireworks, filling the sky. Then, he slowly disappeared into the night. Shao Chun quickly swallowed up the golden dragon formed by Chu Chaoyun's luck. After he finished swallowing, Shao Chun's golden dragon finally reached 23 meters. The 30-meter-long golden dragon gave off a bright light. Layers of golden scales quickly grew on its body, and 2 horns grew on its head. It seemed like it had turned into a living creature. Xiao! 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 The 4 dragon veins under the wind cloud platform each shot out a strand of golden dragon chi at the 30-meter-long golden dragon. At the same time, the seal that the 5 great empires' royal courts used to suppress the dragon veins loosened. A strand of golden dragon chi seeped out and transcended time and space, heading for the golden dragon above Shao Chun's head. When the 9 strands of golden dragon chi poured into the golden dragon's light immediately became extremely resplendent, as dazzling as the blazing sun in the night sky. A dragon roar resounded, and the king gray dragon's might spread out. Some of the weaker cultivators below suddenly felt fear in their hearts. Their bodies moved out uncontrollably. With Jin Lin's body and 2 horns on his head, he controls 9 dragons. He even forcefully snatched a portion of the luck of the various royal courts. This is indeed a king-grade true dragon. Seeing that the golden dragon's might did not scatter, the crowd exclaimed. In the night sky, everyone watched the white-robed bladesman standing in the air. A king-grade true dragon, an outstanding talent that could rival the Thunder King. The main character of this age of the Sky Dome realm was finally born. The other genius cultivators, Bai Qi, Sima Lingxian, Yu Chenxi, Xinyuan Zhantian, Lu Xiaoyun, and Gong Yangyu, all revealed sad expressions. If not for this age of geniuses, they would all be the main characters of their age. Unfortunately, in this age of geniuses, when facing an outstanding talent like Shao Chun, no matter how strong a genius was, they could only feel sad. There were as many geniuses as the carps in the river, endless. The heroes were like the stars in the night sky, innumerable. This was the best age and also the worst age. This was because there could only be one main character in an age. In the air, the after effects of the blue dragon's return to the sea had already erupted. His entire body was in incredible pain. His bones gave off cracking sounds, and his skin cracked. His complexion was very frightening. Endure a little longer. With the true dragon's body, all your injuries will recover immediately. Inside the lunar shadow saber, Ao Jiao clenched her fist tightly. Anxiety filled her pretty face, but she still spoke up to encourage Shao Chun. Back then, on the lone peak outside Dragon Sealing City, Shao Chun had asked Shao Chun if he could execute the blue dragon's return to the sea one more time before he advanced to Martial Monarch. Ao Jiao's answer was yes. However, the prerequisite was that Shao Chun obtain the final victory. With the 30-meter-long true dragon's body, no matter how severe his injuries were, he would be able to recover instantly. This was the case for the Thunder King back then. However, if Shao Chun failed, not only would he suffer damage from his opponent's killing move, but he would also have to forcefully execute the blue dragon's return to the sea 3 times in a row. No matter how strong his body was, it would still crumble. Others could only see Shao Chun's splendor at this moment. They could not see the price and effort he had put in. When Shao Chun was young, he was mocked and mocked. The noble clans of the great Qi nation ordered him to be killed outside Whitewater City. He cultivated day and night on Qingyun Peak. He went through many tests in the ancient desolate tower. He went through endless massacres in the deep sea battlefield. In the final battle, he gambled his life on the killing move. Shao Chun was the white-robed bladesman who would never admit defeat. He hid his pride in his heart and walked step by step. He tasted the bitterness of the world and endured the loneliness. After falling behind others by 16 years, Xiao Chun finally reached the peak of the Sky Dome realm. The 30-meter-long king-grade true dragon with 2 horns on its head roared and turned into a beam of light. Then, it entered Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness through his forehead. Whoosh! Instantly, countless warm, golden energy flowed through Xiao Chen's body, quickly healing his injuries. With the help of the warm, golden energy, Xiao Chen's external and internal injuries, as well as many hidden injuries that were hard to detect, instantly healed. All sorts of comfortable feelings were indescribable. They made Xiao Chun look brand new. The wounds on his skin vanished, and his face regained its luster. He did not look fatigued at all. The most important thing was that with the healing of this warm, golden energy, Xiao Chun felt his physical body grow stronger. He directly reached the peak of the firmament body tempering art's 5th layer. Vaguely, Xiao Chun gained a new understanding of his various martial techniques. Finally, all the warm energy gathered in the Qi whirlpool in Xiao Chen's dantian. His cultivation soared, going from small perfection, half-step martial monarch, to peak great perfection, half-step martial monarch. He was now only a step away from peak consummation. The benefits brought to him by the true dragon in an instant were equivalent to more than 2 years of bitter cultivation. Chapter 608. Everything happened in the space of a single breath. Even Xiao Chun was astonished by the sudden change. The nervous Ao Jiao, who was in the lunar shadow saber, heaved a sigh of relief. She smiled and said, "Hee, don't be so shocked. This is the benefit of a king-grade true dragon. As the previous champion, Sima Lingxian did not even have 20% of your effect. You and the Thunder King are second only to the Tianwu Emperor." When Xiao Chun heard this, he smiled faintly and sheathed his saber. His figure flickered in the air, and he landed in front of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's people in high spirits. When Xin Manjun saw the uninjured Xiao Chun, she said in astonishment, "Strange, why are you not injured at all? Even if that inextinguishable divine light did not injure you, your final move should have injured you significantly." Xiao Chun did not hide anything. He told Xin Manjun about the various benefits of a king-grade true dragon. Only then did she reveal an expression of relief. When Xiao Chun looked around, he discovered that everyone else had an expression of reverence for him. They did not dare to meet his gaze. Even Jiang Qi and the other half-step martial monarchs did not dare to. Only Xin Manjun was not affected, able to speak to him freely. At this moment, the scarlet mark on Xiao Chen's forehead had been baptized by the king-grade true dragon. The original demonic aura had vanished, leaving behind an even stronger aura of a king. Now, Xiao Chen's aura was completely different from the original Xiao Chun. After thinking about it, Xiao Chun understood. With a thought, he withdrew the aura of a king. With the king-grade true dragon, Xiao Chun could control his aura as he pleased. He no longer needed to wear the blue strip of cloth. However, out of habit, he still wore another strip of cloth, making it look no different from usual. Xiao Chun performed a cupped fist salute to the elders of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion and said, "Fortunately, I did not fail." Xiao Chun obtained the first rank for the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Only now did everyone reveal a sincere smile. In the end, Xiao Chun had not changed. Even though he obtained the first rank, he did not show any arrogance to his friends and seniors. Even though he maintained some distance, he was polite and didn't put on any airs. Jiang Qi laughed loudly and said, "Let's not talk about this first. Let's go celebrate after we return to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. The True Dragon ranking will be released in 3 days. You will be very busy for the next few days. Go back and rest first." From sunrise until midnight, everyone was a little tired. After congratulating Xiao Chun, they prepared to return home. The other spectating cultivators all said that this trip was not in vain. Their surging emotions could not calm down for a long time. But the banquet would eventually come to an end. Since the competition was over, it was time to go back. Huqi. Just as everyone was preparing to leave, the thick, never-dissipating clouds 10 kilometers above Dragon Ceiling City suddenly split in half. A gentle white light shone down from the sky, turning the entire dragon-sealing city into day. The night completely disappeared. Amidst the sounds of celestial music, a ship that was as white as jade and glowing with extraordinary splendor appeared before everyone's eyes. As the jade ship descended, a myriad of rainbow-colored lights drifted down like snowflakes. The cultivators preparing to leave all stopped. After being stunned for a while, someone cheered excitedly. It's an auspicious sign. Auspicious signs fill the sky. The person on the jade ship must be an envoy from the Kunlun realm. Hu-chi! Hu-chi! In that instant, countless figures soared into the air, their faces filled with excitement as they flew towards the auspicious signs descending from the sky. The auspicious signs contained abundant spiritual energy. Furthermore, these were auspicious signs from the Kunlun realm. Just obtaining a few of them would allow one to increase their cultivation significantly. A handsome man in embroidered clothes stood on the bow of the ship. He was no more than 24 years old and looked very handsome. He gave off an elegant air and a dignified air. Coupled with his innate elegance, he exuded a boundless charm just by standing there quietly. When the man in embroidered clothes saw everyone fighting for the auspicious signs below, he revealed a mocking smile. He said indifferently, "Just a grain of light, and they are fighting so hard." No wonder the Sky Dome realm is ranked last among the 3,000 great realms. Shio! A figure moved at lightning speed. Just a moment ago, he was a kilometer away. In an instant, he stood on the bow of the ship. It was Dragon Sealing City's city lord, Zongliang. Zongliang glanced at the man in embroidered clothes on the bow and felt that he was too young. He asked uncertainly, "Are you the envoy that Bushin Palace sent to receive us?" Not just anyone could become an envoy. Coming and going would result in a relatively high reward. If one could receive a super genius, the benefits would be even more unimaginable. The man in embroidered clothes nodded slightly. He was only an inferior grade martial monarch, but did not show any respect to a peak martial monarch, Zongliang. He said softly, "I don't seem to sense the presence of a martial monarch. It looks like the Sky Dome realm is still the same as before. I will give you 3 months. I will not wait for you if you're late." Zongliang was not in a rush to refute the other party's words. He frowned slightly and said, "According to the previous rules, don't we have to wait for half a year? When the participants obtained luck, it would not show its effects immediately. Hence, before going to the upper realm, there would be at least half a year to bring out the effects of luck to its fullest." The Bushin Palace controlled more than 600 great realms. There would be many geniuses in each realm. With so many geniuses and the geniuses of the Kunlun realm itself, the intensity of the competition was easy to imagine. Only by raising one's strength to the peak would one be able to obtain more resources and have more initiative in making their own choices. 3 months was not enough time for Zongliang to bring out the full effect of luck, which was why he asked this question. The man in embroidered clothes said impatiently, "Is the insignificant Sky Dome realm worthy of me waiting for half a year? Ha ha ha! Wanfeng, you made a mistake this time. The Sky Dome realm has completely turned things around. They have produced a king-grade true dragon genius." Vigorous laughter came from the warship's hold as a white-haired old man slowly walked out. The expression of the man in embroidered clothes changed slightly. He said in astonishment, "Master, the Bushin Palace controls 600 great realms. In this once-in-5,000-year great age, less than 10 king-grade true dragons appeared. How can the Sky Dome realm have a king-grade true dragon?" The white-haired old man smiled and said, "Ha ha! This Sky Dome realm is not simple in the first place. In the previous great age, a person like the Thunder King appeared. Furthermore, if you think about it carefully, your roots are in this Sky Dome realm. Don't underestimate this Sky Dome realm. Who knows? Naturally, Wanfeng did not believe that he would be defeated in this insignificant Sky Dome realm. However, this old man was his master. Wanfeng's strength was unfathomable. This old man was considered a top character in the Kunlun realm. He had obtained the position of welcoming envoy only because of this old man's help. Hence, Wanfeng did not dare to show any disrespect on the surface. The white-haired old man went over and patted Zhong Liang's shoulder. He smiled and said, "Let's go. Bring me to meet your great-grandfather. I have not seen this old fellow for several hundred years." After saying that, the white-haired old man waved his hand, and a pitch-black spatial tunnel appeared in space. Then, he leaped into it with Zhong Liang. When the spatial tunnel slowly closed, the two of them were already 500 kilometers away. Wanfeng casually looked down and saw several cultivators fighting over the auspicious signs. He revealed an expression of disdain as he waved his hand and returned to the warship's hold. At this moment, Xiao Chun, who was on the ground, withdrew his gaze from the Jade warship. There was a barrier around the Jade warship, preventing Xiao Chen's spiritual sense from listening in on their conversation. However, he could clearly see the expression of the man in embroidered clothes. A sense of disgust appeared in Xiao Chen's heart. He said to Jiang Qi, "First Elder, this auspicious sign is useless to me. I'll go back first." Jiang Qi nodded and smiled. "In that case, you go first. For now, you will not be able to meet with the envoys of the upper realm. If there is any news, I will let you know." 3 days later, Xiao Chan practiced his saber techniques alone in an elegant courtyard, digesting the insights he gained from the consecutive intense battles. In these close to 200 battles, Xiao Chun had met with all sorts of opponents. No matter how strong or weak they were, as long as they had something special, Xiao Chun would remember them. For example, the Divine Saber Gate's Blood Shadow Saber Technique, Gong Yangyu's Everlasting Heaven and Earth, Lin Fei's Earth Vein Saber Technique, and Xianyuan Zhantian's Unending to the End of Time. These people's martial techniques all had their own strengths. When Xiao Chun compared their martial techniques with his, he would discover some areas where he was lacking. Now that he calmed down and thought about it, it was of great help to him. Xiao Chun had never treated the Five-Nation Youth Competition as the end. His goal had always been clear: to follow in the Thunder King's footsteps and climb to the peak of the martial way. There was still a long way to go. There were still countless experts in the Kunlun realm waiting for him to challenge. Who defeated the Thunder King, Sang Mu, in the Kunlun realm back then? What kind of existence did the three holy masters' holy land have in the Kunlun realm? Was the ancestor of the Shao clan one of the holy lands? These were all questions waiting for Xiao Chun to find out. However, if Xiao Chun wanted to solve these mysteries, he would not be able to do so with his current strength. He needed to continue working hard and could not relax for even a moment. Thunder Shadow Chop. Xiao Chun shouted and took 7 steps in the spacious courtyard. With each step, an afterimage appeared on the ground. Each afterimage sent out a saber strike. Their expressions were all different: rage, sorrow, agitation, or excitement. A scarlet electric light leaped on the saber's edge. It contained a cold, killing intent amidst the berserk. When one looked at it, it seemed to have many similarities to Gong Yangyu's Everlasting Universe Staff technique, but there were also some differences. Gong Yangyu's Everlasting Heaven and Earth Staff technique did not merge his state into it. However, not only did Xiao Chun merge his 2 states into it, he even added his own understanding. This was mental state. Xiao Chen's mental state was different with every saber strike. 7 steps, 7 saber strikes. Every saber strike gave off a completely different feeling. If Gong Yangyu were here, he would be so shocked that his jaw would fall off. Being able to send out 7 sabers in 7 steps already required extremely high comprehension ability. Furthermore, Xiao Chun could merge 2 states into each saber strike. Furthermore, his mental state was different. This talent could only be described as demonic. Pu Ci. The 7 afterimages merged together. Xiao Chun swung his saber at the air. The formless space was like an invisible wall. With a Qi-La sound, the saber light split it in half. Xiao Chun smiled faintly and sheathed his saber. He was very satisfied with the might of this saber strike. This was the Thunder Shadow Chop that Xiao Chun comprehended from Gong Yangyu. He did not materialize his essence. Instead, he only used half of it. To be able to achieve such might, splitting space in half, was something that Xiao Chun could not do before he came here. Chapter 609. Jiang Qi, who rushed over from outside the courtyard, happened to see this scene. He was startled and thought to himself, this Xiao Chun is becoming more and more unfathomable. Xiao Chun had noticed Jiang Qi long ago. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and walked over. First Elder, are you looking for me? Jiang Qi recovered his wits and smiled. Yes, let me tell you about the Kunlun realm first. This time, the top 20 of the True Dragon ranking are all qualified to enter the upper realm. After cultivating for half a year, they can follow the envoy to the Kunlun realm. A contemplative look appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes as he muttered to himself, there is only half a year. I wonder if I can break through to Martial Monarch? Although Xiao Chen's cultivation was only a step away from peak consummation half-step Martial Monarch, he felt that it was still very far away. His essence did not feel like it was reaching a bottleneck. Jiang Qi took out a few more things and said, this is the True Dragon ranking list. You can take a look. The remaining ones are the invitations of the 10 great sections. Aside from the Evil Moon Pavilion, the other 9 great sects have been requesting to meet you. In the past 3 days, there have been an endless stream of people seeking to meet Xiao Chun. Aside from the invitations of the 10 great sects, Jiang Qi rejected all the others. If Jiang Qi wanted to meet everyone, Xiao Chun would not be able to rest in peace. As for the Evil Moon Pavilion, there was too much enmity between them and Xiao Chun. Even though Xiao Chun was a king-grade true dragon genius, he could not lower himself to meet the Evil Moon Pavilion. However, Xiao Chun did not care about this. He first held the True Dragon ranking list in his hand and looked at the invitations of the other great sections. Xiao Chun was not in a rush to receive them. After thinking for a while, he accepted the invitation of the Haotian sect. He had no desire to look at the invitations of the other great sections. Seeing that Xiao Chun had made his choice, Jiang Qi did not linger any longer. He took his leave after saying goodbye. The True Dragon ranking list had golden borders. The main body was scarlet, and the words True Dragon ranking were written on the front. Xiao Chun opened it and took a look. There were not many words on the first page, only a drawing. The background of the drawing was the deep night sky. A white-robed person stood in the air. This was Xiao Chun himself. A 30-meter-long golden dragon hovered above his head. The painter's skill was very high. He managed to vividly portray Xiao Chun's king's aura at that time. The atmosphere was rendered to perfection. It was obvious that the entire painting was meticulously crafted. The artist was very skilled. He managed to bring out Xiao Chun's king very well. The atmosphere was very perfect. Xiao Chun, the champion of this 5-nation youth competition, a disciple of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Qinyan Peak. He became famous in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion with one battle, defeating the disciples of the Holy Lands and the noble clans of the Great Qi Nation by himself. Xiao Chun had not lost to anyone who had Xiao Chun's Qi, had not lost. Since the start of the elimination rounds of this 5-nation youth competition, Xiao Chun had won all the way, never tasting defeat. Be it sect geniuses or noble clan scions, he defeated them all. Xiao Chun smiled faintly and continued reading. Needless to say, the second rank was Chu Chaoyan, so he skipped to the third rank. The third rank was somewhat strange. It was held by Xinyuan Zhantian and Sima Lingxian. The two of them had only lost 3 matches in the ranking matches. Hence, they had the same number of points. However, this was not too surprising. There had been similar cases in the past 5-nation youth competitions. Aside from the champion, the other rankings were all the same. As for the previous runner-up, Bai Qi, he only obtained the 5th rank. Close behind him were the Haotian sects Yu Chenxi, 7th and 8th, Wang Quan, and Li Tianhua. Gong Yangyu and Lu Xiaoyan were the most interesting. Their rankings were the same as the previous 5-nation youth competition, 9th and 10th respectively. Xiao Chun carefully looked at the top 10 rankings. The 8 noble clans' monopoly on the top 8 had been broken this time. Xiao Chun and Chu Chaoyan were the biggest dark horses. The two of them were from small sects in the Great Qi Nation. However, They had been in the limelight in the competition, taking first and second place. After the top 10, the name list only had 4 people on it. It did not have the same treatment as the top 10. Even so, when the cultivators from various corners of the Tianwu continent spread the name list, the cultivators with their names on it would gain some fame. In the future, they would most likely become the first elder of a sect or a hero. This small name list recorded all the people who could do anything in the Tianwu continent in the future. For example, Morong Chong. His name was ranked 87th. If he was willing, the position of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Jiangqi would definitely be his. After memorizing the names of Bai, Kim Tae-ho, and the others, Xiao Chun put away the name list. Then, he focused his gaze on the Haotian sect's name list. Xiao Chun could roughly guess why the 10 great sects of the Great Jin Nation came to look for him. The 10 great sects of the Great Jin Nation were called super sections. One of the main reasons was that these sects still had their main sect in the Kunlun realm. The Tianwu continent was just a branch of their main sect, used to gather geniuses and expand the strength of their main sect. Back when Xiao Chun was on the island in the western Shallow Sea, the supreme elder of the Haotian sect had already extended an invitation to Xiao Chun, giving him a small Haotian medallion. However, Xiao Chun had not been in a rush to pick a side back then. Hence, he did not immediately agree. Now, Xiao Chun's strength had been thoroughly verified. He was a king-grade true dragon genius. If they could send Xiao Chun to the main sect of the Haotian sect in the Kunlun realm, it would undoubtedly strengthen the Haotian sect. The branch of the Haotian sect in the Tianwu continent would also gain many benefits. The sect master and elders would also receive many benefits. Xiao Chun, if you go, just agree to the other party. If Sang Mu had a strong backer back then, he would not have ended up like that, Ao Jiao said softly from the lunar shadow saber. Her tone was filled with helplessness. When Xiao Chun heard this, he was slightly stunned. He asked, "Who exactly did the Thunder King offend in the past?" Ao Jiao shook her head slightly and said, "You don't have to care about this. You are not strong enough. Knowing will not do you any good. In the Kunlun realm, no matter how talented you are or how extraordinary your luck is, it is best not to be a lone ranger. I don't know about the other sects, but the Haotian sect has already become one of the 9 ranks of the great families, second only to the 3 holy masters 3,000 years ago. It is definitely not an ordinary small sect." After carefully considering Ao Jiao's words, Xiao Chun made a decision. He grasped the name card in his hand and said, "In that case, let's go and take a look first." After the true dragon ranking list was released, Dragon Sealing City would close its gates the next day. The next time it would open for guests would be 3 years later. On the last night of Xiao Chen's stay in Dragon Sealing City, it was even livelier than usual. The streets and alleys were filled with people in groups of 3 to 5, touring the countless historical sites in the city. After putting on a black cloak, Xiao Chun slowly walked through the crowd. Occasionally, he heard discussions about the true dragon ranking list. His name was mentioned time and time again in an admiring tone. All sorts of praises rang out. Under the hood, the shadow of Xiao Chen's face was hidden. He withdrew his aura. No one knew that the person they were talking about had just passed by them. When Xiao Chun arrived at Ignorant About Tea, he stopped for 9 steps. The interior of the tea house was brightly lit. There was an endless stream of people going in and out. The hall on the first floor did not have many rules. The people who came here were not true tea drinkers. As they drank, they did not stop talking at all. Participants from 2 small nations obtained first and second place at the same time. TSK. This is probably the first time in the history of the 5-nation youth competition. It is indeed the first time. The Great Chu Nation is indeed a nation with an expert like the Thunder King. After 5,000 years, a king-grade true dragon has appeared in the Great Qi Nation again. Haha, the elders of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion will probably be grinning from ear to ear. The rise of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion is already predictable. That's right. Just based on Xiao Chen's name, who knows how many bladesmen will be attracted to join? The bladesmen of the other nations will probably fight to join as well, to see if they can catch up to Xiao Chen's luck. The most discussed topic in the hall was the same as the one on the street. It was still the true dragon ranking list. Furthermore, It was much more lively here. "Sir, are you here to drink some tea? Unfortunately, we are already full. How about you go over there and wait for a while?" The moment Xiao Chun appeared at the entrance, an enthusiastic waiter walked over with a smile on his face. After handing over the Haotian Sex name card, Xiao Chun said calmly, "I already have an appointment. Lead the way." The waiter received the name card. When he saw the inscription and the contents of the name card, he immediately knew who Xiao Chun was. He revealed an extremely shocked expression. He could not recover his wits for a long time. Xiao Chun frowned and said, "The name card says that we will meet tonight. Could it be that the Haotian Sex people have already left?" The waiter reacted and suppressed the excitement in his heart. He quickly said, No, please follow me." Under the waiter's lead, Xiao Chun arrived at a booth on the top floor. Then, he casually pushed the door open and entered. A fragrance wafted in the elegant booth. Yu Chenxi and an old man in his 70s sat at the table, quietly drinking tea. That old man wore simple linen clothes. His long hair draped over his shoulders, and his eyebrows were white. However, his eyes sparkled with a divine light. He did not look old at all. Xiao Chen used his spiritual sense to check the other party's cultivation. He could not help but feel slightly shocked. Unexpectedly, the other party was just an ordinary person who did not practice martial arts. Returning to one's natural state, this was a peak martial sage expert. Ordinary martial sages could not compare to him. "You are here. Have a seat." The old man had noticed Xiao Chen's arrival long ago. However, he took a leisurely sip of tea before turning his head to greet Xiao Chun. Xiao Chen removed his cloak and sat across from the old man. Yu Chenxi leaned over and whispered, "Xiao Chun, this is the sect master of our Haotian sect. For the sake of meeting you, he ended his closed-door cultivation early." A strange look flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. A peak martial sage was willing to give up his closed-door cultivation to meet him. The Haotian sect was very sincere. "Many thanks, Senior, for taking the time out of your busy schedule." The other party was very strong and could easily crush Xiao Chen to death with one finger. He spent a lot of time comprehending the great Tao. Given his limited lifespan, he had to cultivate bitterly at all times, hoping to reach the peak of cultivation. To them, time was extremely precious. They were definitely worthy of Xiao Chen's words. The hemp-robed old man's deep eyes flickered with an intelligent light. He smiled gently and said, "Little friend, don't overthink. Since you already rejected the invitations of the other sects, my Haotian sect naturally has to give you the highest reception." Chapter 610. Furthermore, I will probably never be able to enter Emperor Wu's gate in this lifetime. So, I'm not busy or not. Who knows? I might need your help in the future. If you do not mind my old bones, you could just call me Old Phone. We are of the same generation. Xiao Chan felt embarrassed in his heart. The other party was much older than him, and his cultivation was many times higher. How could he dare to be so unbridled? Senior Phone must be joking. No one knows what will happen in the future. How can I compare my future accomplishments with Senior? Old Feng saw that Xiao Chen's attitude was sincere, his tone neither servile nor overbearing. He did not have the arrogance of a king-grade true dragon genius or the fawning attitude of a senior expert. Xiao Chun controlled his attitude very well. That aura was definitely not something he faked. Normally, without a strong mental state, he would not be able to achieve such an effect. Old Man Feng nodded in his heart. Only with such a state of mind could one go further. He had said those words on purpose. In his long life, Old Man Feng had not been able to go far. In his long life, he had seen many geniuses, even Emperor-grade true dragon geniuses who were stronger than Xiao Chun. There were many proud people who set their sights high, but were not capable. They died prematurely, no matter how good their talent was. Old Feng put down the teacup in his hand and smiled faintly. As long as the king-grade true dragon geniuses did not die prematurely, they would definitely reach peak martial sage. Actually, I am not exaggerating. The conversation with the old man was not as formal as Xiao Chen imagined. Old Feng did not put on any airs. He even answered several of Xiao Chen's questions about martial cultivation. "Xiao Chun, Do you know why the Bushin Palace wants to bring you people to the Kunlun realm? Old Feng started to bring up the main topic of the day. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen answered, the Bushin Palace might have competitors in the Kunlun realm, so they need to replenish their youth generation genius cultivators to strengthen themselves. Old Feng smiled faintly and said, it is pretty good that you can think of this. However, aside from this, there is another reason. This Sky Dome realm cannot afford to raise geniuses like you. Xiaochen looked at the old man and asked doubtfully, you can't remember? That's right, we can't afford it. Old Feng pointed at Yu Chenxi and said, take Chenxi as an example. Once her talent reaches the martial monarch realm, she still wants to maintain a fast cultivation speed. She probably consumes at least 10,000 superior grade spirit stones a year. In less than 50 years, she will use up all the superior grade spirit stones that the Haoyan sect accumulated. Xiao Chun was quick-witted as he thought about it. If it were not the age of geniuses, it would be fine to nurture a genius cultivator like this. This was because if the other sects did not have a worthy opponent, Yu Chenxi would definitely be able to fight for more benefits for the Haoyan sect after he grew stronger, and he would be able to plunder many other sects' spiritual veins and resources. However, in the golden age of martial artists, there were countless geniuses like her. If she didn't grow up to be an invincible existence, it would be impossible for the sect to recover the resources that they had spent on cultivating her. When Old Feng saw Xiao Chen's expression, he knew that Xiao Chen understood. He nodded and said, hence, she has to enter the Kunlun realm. Only the resources of the Kunlun realm can nurture geniuses like you. Furthermore, the resources of the Kunlun realm are not in the hands of the Bushin Palace. They are still in the hands of the strong sections. Xiao Chen said, in that case, what does the Bushin Palace do? Old Feng explained, the Kunlun realm is boundless. It is not just filled with cultivators. The Bushin Palace represents all the cultivators. It fights for all sorts of resources in the Kunlun realm and fights against the other strong factions. I cannot explain it to you in a few words. If you really want to compare it, it is like the Heavenly Extermination Union in the ancient desolate land. However, it is much larger. You will understand when you go to the Kunlun realm. Xiaochen remained calm and collected. He knew that the other party was about to get to the main topic, so he waited quietly for him to continue. Indeed, Old Feng smiled and said, when the 20 of you go to the Bushin Palace, your bone age will be tested and your talent will be redetermined. After that, there will be countless sects waiting for you to choose. The stronger you are, the more choices you will have. However, with your talent, there is no need to worry. There will definitely be many large sects fighting to pull you in. These are the conditions that the Haoyan sect can offer you. You can take a look first. There is no rush to reply to me. The other party handed over a stack of envelopes. Xiao Chun was not in a rush to open them. Instead, he carefully put them away. Old Feng smiled faintly and said, I will take my leave first. No matter what choice you make, the Haoyan sect will never make things difficult for you. The little Haoyan medallion that you once obtained will always be effective. Regardless of the strength of the Haoyan sect, just Old Feng's bearing and the way he spoke were already very admirable to Xiao Chun. Xiao. Right after Old Feng spoke, a spatial whirlpool appeared behind him. With a schwa sound, it sucked him in. When the whirlpool vanished, it was like the old man had never been there. Xiao Chen, what do you think? Yu Chenxi, who was at the side, asked with some anticipation. Xiao Chun smiled and said, perhaps after we go to the Kunlun realm, you will have to address me as senior brother. Xiao Chun did not know anyone from the 9 great sections. At the very least, there was Yu Chenxi in the Haoyan sect. Although the two had only known each other for a short time, they understood each other's characters. Furthermore, Ao Jiao also approved of Xiao Chun going to the Haoyan sect. Choosing the Haoyan sect might not be the best outcome for Xiao Chun, but it was definitely not the worst choice. At the same time, as Xiao Chun was chatting with the Haoyan sect master, Kim Taeho was also meeting with a major character. That major character was none other than the welcoming envoy, Wan Feng. Wan Feng fiddled with a spirit core brimming with light and spiritual energy in his hand. An azure flaming bird could be vaguely seen in the spirit core, flapping its wings and crying out loud like it was alive. After Wanfeng put away the spirit core, he said, "Not bad. The spirit core of a rank 10 spirit beast, Azure One, even in the Kunlun realm, is still somewhat valuable." Kim Tae-ho cursed in his heart. "What do you mean by somewhat valuable? This thing would be a priceless treasure even in the Kunlun realm. Do you think this fat lord does not know anything?" Furthermore, Wanfeng cultivated a fire-attributed cultivation technique. The value of this Azure One spirit core could no longer be measured in terms of value. However, Kim Tae-ho could not lose his temper since he had a favor to ask of the other party. He smiled and said, "In that case, can you leave the business in Dragon Sealing City to our Golden Rock Merchant Association to manage in the future?" Fatso did not lie to Xiao Chun. He was indeed here to discuss business. Furthermore, he was very ambitious. He wanted to swallow up all the business in Dragon Sealing City in one go. Although Dragon Sealing City had only been open for a month, the people who came this month were all peak cultivators of the continent. The income from spending 1 million peak cultivators was equivalent to a year's worth of business for the Golden Rock Merchant Association. It was definitely worth fighting for. Right now, all the business in Dragon Sealing City was in the hands of the top merchant association, the Wan clan. However, with just a word from Wanfeng, the owner could be changed to him, Kim Tae-ho. When Wanfeng heard this, his expression suddenly turned cold. He said in a frosty voice, "Scram. Don't mention this topic. Who do you think this young master is?" Kim Tae-ho was somewhat stunned. He could not understand why the other party suddenly turned hostile. It was clearly the other party who released the news first. That was why he brought the Azure Lawn Spirit Core over. "Cousin, are you receiving a guest?" Just at this moment, laughter rang out. Kim Tae-ho turned his head and saw the Wan Clan Merchant Association's young master, Wan Shan, walking in with a smile. "Cousin?" Wanfeng, Wan Clan Merchant Association, both surnamed Wan. Kim Tae-ho suddenly understood something. He said angrily, "You two bastards! How dare you gang up on me? Return my Azure Lawn Spirit Core to me." "Did you not hear me? I already told you to scram." Wanfeng snorted coldly and sent out a strand of quintessence with a flick of his finger. A pitch-black crack appeared in space as it flew towards Kim Tae-ho. Kim Tae-ho was startled. He quickly took out the coffin lid and placed it in front of him. Ding-dang. The huge force knocked Kim Tae-ho back by 10 steps. "Hey!" Seeing that the coffin lid was undamaged, Wanfeng's eyes lit up. He said, "There is actually an Emperor's might spreading out." This time, Kim Tae-ho learned his lesson. He quickly put away the coffin lid and ran away as fast as he could. Then he said, "You two brats. This fat lord will remember you this time. There is no one else in this world who can take advantage of me." Kim Tae-ho. Wan Shan laughed loudly and said, "How delightful. I finally managed to mess with this fatso. He has snatched away a lot of our Wan clan's business in the Great G Nation." However, Wanfeng, who was seated, had an incredibly calm expression. He said indifferently, "He is just a minor character. There is no need to bother with him. However, this Azure Wan Spirit Core is really good stuff." After chatting with Yu Chinsi about some irrelevant matters, Xiao Chun prepared to take his leave. Yu Chinsi stood up to send Xiao Chun off. She smiled and said, "We will meet again in half a year. If you are willing, you can come with me to the Haotian sect now. With the spirit vein that the Haotian sect controls, it will be easier for you to break through to Martial Monarch." Xiao Chun understood what she meant. The Kunlun realm's Haotian sect definitely had its own geniuses. They would also absorb geniuses from other realms. At that time, there would be competition. Once they reached Martial Monarch, they would be able to avoid some unnecessary trouble. They would also receive more resources. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion only controlled one spirit vein. Naturally, it could not compare to the Haotian sect. However, to Xiao Chun, there was no difference between the two. The purple thunder divine incantation that Xiao Chun cultivated required a vast amount of essence, at least 10 times that of a regular genius cultivator. Be it the Haotian sect or the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, Xiao Chun would not be able to advance to Martial Monarch within half a year. The former would be faster than the latter, but it would still take at least a year. If Xiao Chun wanted to advance to martial monarch within half a year, he could only think of other methods. Xiao Chun thanked him politely and rejected the other party's invitation. After 15 minutes, Xiao Chun returned to the courtyard of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion and opened the letter that Old Feng gave him. The contents of the letter gave a rough introduction of the Haotian sect situation in the Kunlun realm. Xiao Chun explained it to Ao Jiao and left it for her to decide. Ao Jiao muttered, "Your choice was not wrong. I did not expect that after 5,000 years, the Haotian sect master would advance to the greater heavenly Emperor Wu. In that case, the Haotian sect's position in the 9 ranks of the great families will definitely rise." That was good. At least when Xiao Chun went to the Haotian sect, he would not have to worry about the resources the sect controlled. There was a black spatial ring in the letter. Xiao Chun scanned it with his spiritual sense and saw all the treasures in the spatial ring. There were more than 50,000 superior grade spirit stones. This was very shocking. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion was unable to do this. Chapter 611. Back then, when Xiao Chun agreed to fight for the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, Jiang Qi had taken out nearly half of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion savings and only managed to gather 10,000 superior grade spirit stones. However, the Haotian sect casually gave out 50,000 superior grade spirit stones. Aside from that, there were all sorts of natural treasures and 1,000-year-old spirit herbs for nourishing qi. There were at least 100 of them, each of them more than 2,000 years old. There was also a faint blue inner vest at the back. Based on the flickering light and spiritual energy, it should be a defensive superior grade secret treasure. It would probably increase Xiao Chun's defense by at least 20%. Haha, Brother Xiao Chun, these are just a small greeting gift. 50,000 superior grade spirit stones should be enough for you to use for half a year. If you go to the upper realm, there will be even more generous gifts waiting for you. This was the last line of Old Feng's introduction letter, showing the strong accumulations of the Haotian sect. Early the next morning, the Heavenly Saber Pavilions group made their preparations and prepared to return. Everyone was in a good mood. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion could be said to have a bountiful harvest in this 5-nation youth competition. They achieved an unimaginable goal. Not only did Murong Chong and Yun Kursin enter the True Dragon ranking, but Xiao Chun also obtained the first rank for the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Furthermore, Xiao Chun obtained the first rank for the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. With the King Grade True Dragon luck, there was no doubt that the Heavenly Saber Pavilion would rise in the future. After the group left the city, they boarded Jade Maiden Peak's Golden Jade glazed ship and soared into the air, heading back to the Great Qi Nation. When the group looked around, the sky was filled with warships and crowds. As these people left, the grand occasion of this True Dragon ranking would spread to every corner of the continent. The names of the geniuses on the 5-nation youth competition would spread far and wide. Many years later, when people recalled this 5-nation youth competition, it would be a legend. On the bow of the warship, Xiao Chun explained his promise to the Haotian sect to the first elder, Jiang Qi, in detail. Jiang Qi was not surprised. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion did not have a faction in the Kunlun realm. They would not be able to trap a true dragon like Xiao Chun. Being able to help the Heavenly Saber Pavilion obtain the first rank was already a pleasant surprise for Jiang Qi. How could he ask for more? A gentle breeze blew as the Golden Jade glazed ship moved through the clouds. Although it looked slow, it was actually moving at an incredible speed. 5 days later, in the sky above a mountain range at the border of the Jin State and the Qin State, a group of rank 8 spirit beasts, demonic flame eagles, 3,000 meters in front of them blocked their way. A rank 8 spirit beast was as strong as a great perfection half-step martial monarch. Furthermore, it was much faster than a regular cultivator. When fighting a rank 8 spirit beast in the air, a cultivator of the same rank would find it hard to defeat it. Jiang Qi frowned slightly and counted carefully. There were a total of 8 demonic raging flame eagles. The one in the middle was the largest, and its aura was much denser. This is problematic. There is actually a demonic raging flame eagle leader here. Even a peak consummation half-step martial monarch would not be a match for it. Jiangqi said to Lu Suifeng, who was behind him, Suifeng, go and ask Martial Uncle Shan to come out. If we take a detour, it will take us another half a day. Xiao Chen walked over and looked at the demonic raging flame eagles in front. He said, wait, let me give a try first. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, the others looked over in shock. There were 8 spirit beasts in front that were even stronger than a great perfection half-step martial monarch. Among them, the leader of the demonic raging flame eagles was a peak consummation half-step martial monarch. A regular inferior grade martial monarch would find it hard to subdue it. Jiangqi said worriedly, Xiao Chun, it is better to let Martial Uncle Shan make a move. Don't be too rash. Xiao Chun wanted to test his strength after the true dragon merged with him. He smiled and said, First Elder, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. If I cannot defeat them, I will immediately retreat. I will not be rash. Seeing Xiao Chun so insistent, Jiangqi could not say anything more. He said, In that case, be careful. Second Elder, bring some people and follow behind. If anything happens, you can rush over immediately. Xiao Chun gently pushed off the bow of the warship, and his figure drifted, kicking up a strong wind in the air. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Chun arrived within 500 meters of the demonic raging flame eagles. Black flames burned on the broad wings of the demonic raging flame eagles. Their hook-like beaks flickered with a cold light. When their cold eyes discovered Xiao Chun, they immediately flapped their wings and let out a shrill cry, sending out a surging heat wave. Xiao Chun placed his right hand on the saber hilt and quickly scanned the 8 demonic raging flame eagles. After he clearly saw their flight trajectory, he attacked with lightning speed. Thunder Shadow Chop. Because Xiao Chun was worried that he would cause too much damage, he did not use his full essence to execute this move. At this moment, there were no more worries in the air. The surging crystalline essence surged towards the lunar shadow saber like a river. In that instant, it gave off a dazzling purple electric light. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Xiao Chun took 7 steps, leaving behind 7 realistic afterimages in the air. Each afterimage sent out a saber strike. With the true dragon, Xiao Chen's cultivation instantly rose from small perfection, half-step martial monarch to great perfection. When he unleashed his essence at full power, its might was startling. Boom, boom, boom. 7 miserable cries resounded. The saber lights that Xiao Chun sent out from the afterimages split the 7 demonic raging flame eagles in half. The elders behind, who were preparing to make a move, were all dumbfounded. Merge! The 7 afterimages merged, and electric light burst out from Xiao Chen's body. His aura surged, making him look like a thunder god descending from the sky. Saber chi surged out and tore a long crack in space. The leader of the demonic raging flame eagles was startled. It flapped its wings anxiously and tried to flee. It did not dare to face the might of this saber strike head-on. Pu Ci. However, the crack extended too quickly. Even though the demonic raging flame eagle did its best to dodge, the crack still tore its right wing in half. The strong defense of the demonic raging flame eagle became mere decoration. It cried out miserably and fell to the ground. Xiao Chun killed 8 demonic raging flame eagles in the blink of an eye with 1 thunder shadow chop. This stunned Jiangqi and the others on the warship. Xiao Chun sheathed his saber. However, he was not satisfied. This was because his final attack had not instantly chopped the leader of the demonic raging flame eagles in half. This proved that this thunder shadow chop still had many improvements. When the group landed back on the deck, Jiangqi and the others exchanged glances. They discovered that they could not see through Xiao Chun at all. With such strength, even a regular inferior gray martial monarch would not be able to match him. Suddenly, Xiao Chun said, "There is a warship behind us. It is heading in our direction at Mach 5. Jiangqi and the others were slightly stunned. They soared into the air and quickly looked back. Indeed, a huge black warship tore through the air and headed in their direction. Its target was very clear. It wanted to stop Xiao Chun and the others before they could leave the Great Gene Nation. After the group landed, Jiang Qi said with an unsightly expression, "They are coming with ill intentions. It is the Bai clan's warship." Xiao. Just as the group was about to cross the border, the huge black warship of the Bai clan overtook them. The warship swept through the air and tyrannically blocked the path of Xiao Chun and the others. Shen Manjun walked out of the warship's hold and looked at the Bai clan's warship. She asked doubtfully, "Jiang Qi, what's going on?" "I'm not sure. The Bai clan's people did not say anything and just stopped us." When Jiang Qi saw Shen Manjun walk out, he calmed down. After all, the other party was a half-sage. As long as the Bai clan's clan head did not come, it would not be easy for the others to stop them. "Everyone, there is no need to be anxious. I am Bai Feng, the current Bai clan's clan head. I just want to meet the white-robed bladesman you all speak of." A middle-aged man wearing light blue robes appeared on the warship's bow. He was like a treasured saber drawn from its scabbard, radiating a sharp light. The moment he appeared, everyone in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion felt a huge pressure. When the other party looked down, it was like a sharp saber hanging above everyone's heads. Saber Sage, a sage of the saber. Only a martial sage who had comprehended saber intent to the limit could be called a saber sage. Regular martial sages would not be a match for them. A saber sage could easily deal with 10 martial sages of the same cultivation. This Bai clan's clan head, Bai Feng, was such a person. Bai Feng smiled faintly and said, "I remember handing over my name card. However, it seems like little brother does not think highly of me, so I can only use such a presumptuous method." As Xiao Chun looked at the other party, a yearning appeared in his heart. A sage of the saber. Xiao Chun wondered when he would be able to reach such a level. After calming himself, Xiao Chun took a step forward and asked, "I wonder why Senior is looking for me." Bai Feng smiled and said, "Come up and speak. It is not convenient to be down there." "Senior brother Xiao Chun, don't go up. They're definitely up to no good," Yin Kursin said from behind. Yin Kursin said from behind. Lu Sui Feng and the others did not say anything, but the meaning in their eyes was the same. Xiao Chun said softly, "It's fine. Given his status, he will not go so far as to make a move against a junior like me. Everyone will laugh at him." "Xiao." After Xiao Chun spoke, he pushed off the ground and boarded the Bai clan's black warship. He stood across from Bai Feng and looked straight at him without any fear. Bai Feng smiled gently and said, "Young man, you are rather courageous. I'll get straight to the point. Where did you learn the 4-season saber technique? This concerns the foundation of my Bai clan. I have to figure it out." Xiao Chun had expected the other party to say this long ago. He replied, "I once met Senior by Shueha in the ancient desolate tower. He was the one who taught me the 4-season saber technique. However, don't worry. I already swore on my heart demon that the 4-season saber technique will not leak out." Bai Feng revealed an expression of "as I expected." He said, "It is as I expected. I have a presumptuous request. Little brother, can you write down your comprehension of the 4-season saber technique that you comprehended and give me a copy?" Xiao Chun said straightforwardly, "Sure." Bai Feng was slightly stunned. He had not expected Xiao Chun to agree to his request so easily, not bargaining at all. After all, the secret manual that Xiao Chun wanted to write down was priceless. The 4-season saber technique had been studied by the Bai clan for thousands of years. With this, the number of Bai clan juniors who could learn the 4-season saber technique would increase significantly. Given this, Bai Feng felt somewhat embarrassed. He asked, "Little brother, do you have any requests?" "There is no need. The 4-season saber technique belongs to your Bai clan in the first place. Since you have requested it, I will return it." Xiao Chun maintained a calm expression and did not say much. The white paper floated in front of him as he focused on writing down the 4-season saber technique he comprehended. Chapter 6:12. Xiao Chun was not afraid that the Bai clan would learn his 4-season saber technique and threaten him. The 4-season saber technique could only bring out its strongest might when it was compatible with the cultivator state. Xiao Chun was able to bring out the might of the 4-season saber technique. If others followed his method, they would be able to bring out a tenth of his might. The Bai clan had taken the wrong path. Since that was the case, there was no harm in giving it to him. Before a saber sage, he did not have much of a choice. Thousands of meters above the Bai clan's warship, a small warship was hidden in the clouds. A few elders of the Sima clan stood on the bow of the warship, looking suspiciously at Xiao Chun and Bai Chi's actions. First elder, the Bai clan and Xiao Chun seemed to have reached some sort of agreement. "I'm afraid we no longer have a chance to make a move," a gray-robed old man said sullenly. "If they enter the Great Qi nation's borders and we make a move, we will attract some unnecessary trouble," another person said. The Sima clan's first elder muttered to himself for a while before saying, "In that case, let's return first. I did not expect this by phone to spoil our plans at such a crucial moment. However, there is still half a year. There will be plenty of opportunities." Without anyone noticing, the Sima clan's small warship quietly turned around and returned to where it came from. 15 minutes later, Bai Chi put away the secret manual that Xiao Chen handed him. He felt many emotions in his heart. It was hard to imagine that there could be such a talented person. Before the age of 22, Bai Chi had already created such a powerful martial technique. Compared to the ancient sages, he was not inferior. Little brother's talent and bearing are truly admirable. If you need this Bai's help in the future, just a word from me will do. The Bai clan owes you a favor. Bai Feng used his status as the Bai clan's clan head to make a promise to Xiao Chun. This surprised Xiao Chun somewhat. Without the Bai clan obstructing them, their journey was smooth sailing. 3 days later, Xiao Chun's group returned to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. When the news of Xiao Chun obtaining the first rank spread, the entire Heavenly Saber Pavilion erupted with excitement. The 5,000-odd inner disciples were all extremely excited. Many disciples would be attracted to the foot of Qingyun Peak every day. Without exception, all of them hoped to join Qingyun Peak. The only reason was that Xiao Chun had the luck of a king-grade true dragon. Of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Qingyun Peak, Xiao Chun would definitely obtain the most luck. Luck was ethereal, but comprehension ability. However, its usefulness to cultivators was sometimes even more important than talent. Everyone wanted to benefit from it and obtain more luck. Xiao Chun handed all these trifling matters to Lu Suifeng to handle. As for himself, he and Lu Riyue stayed in the back mountains, living a simple world of the two of them, enjoying the rare leisure time. 1 week later, as more and more cultivators returned from Dragon Sealing City, the True Dragon ranking became popular in every corner of the Great Qi Nation. The news of the Great Qi Nation's Bladesman, Xiao Chun, becoming the champion of this 5-nation youth competition spread like wildfire. The reputation of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion soared. There was an endless stream of people coming to learn from them. There were even people who did not practice the saber in the first place who started practicing the saber all over again. They only wanted to join the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. The first elder, Jiang Qi, was extremely busy every day. However, the smile on his face never faded. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion's accumulations were not bad. However, they lacked an opportunity. Now that they were using Xiao Chun's reputation to recruit disciples, their foundation would be even firmer. The luck that Xiao Chun brought would affect the Heavenly Saber Pavilion invisibly. For the next 500 years, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion would continue to prosper, gaining a place in the Great Age. The bustling and bustling outside did not affect Xiao Chun's mental state. After spending half a month with Lu Riyue, he resumed his bitter cultivation. The road was still very long. This was only the beginning of the great path of cultivation. He had to work even harder. He could not relax at all. This was especially so after Xiao Chun met Bai Feng. This feeling in his heart became even stronger. Only when he became truly strong could he firmly grasp his fate in his own hands. If Xiao Chun had a choice, why would he hand over the saber technique he comprehended? However, before absolute strength, even if he was extremely intelligent, it would be useless. Pu Ci. The 4 superior grade spirit stones in his hand shattered. Xiao Chun recovered from his cultivation and looked at the exhausted spirit stones. He shook his head slightly and casually tossed them aside. After spending half a month, Xiao Chun thoroughly summarized the insights he gained from the five-nation youth competition. Then, he spent all his time on cultivation. Even though Xiao Chun consumed 10 superior Great Spirit stones every day, his progress was still very slow. He was still a long way from reaching the bottleneck of half-step martial monarch. Xiao Chun felt somewhat vexed. He asked Ao Jiao, is there any way for me to reach the bottleneck of half-step martial monarch within half a year? Ao Jiao smiled gently and said, I've been waiting for you to ask. There is definitely a way. It just depends on whether you dare to take this risk or not. Everything in the world had its risks. It was impossible to reap without sowing and easily achieve success. Naturally, Xiao Chun understood this principle. He asked, what is the method? Ao Jiao did not answer him directly. Instead, she said, you know about the spirit veins' origin under the heavenly saber pavilion, right? Back then, even the heavenly wolf race's fiend king wanted that. The spirit veins' origin was the foundation of a spirit vein. It contained an immeasurable amount of spiritual energy. Naturally, Xiao Chun knew about the spirit veins' origin in the heavenly saber pavilion. Back then, he had personally experienced it in the underground world of the spirit stone mine. However, the energy contained in the spirit veins' origin was simply too vast. It was not something that Xiao Chun could do anything to. If he tried to swallow it forcefully, he might explode from the energy if he was not careful. Lung Liusu could cultivate on it, because the founder of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion had placed restrictions on it, limiting the amount of energy she could absorb from it. Otherwise, with Lung Liusu's cultivation back then, she would not have been able to cultivate on it. Thinking of this, Xiao Chun shook his head slightly and said, could this be the method you were talking about? The Heavenly Saber Pavilion's spirit veins' origin has restrictions placed on it, limiting the amount of energy it can absorb. Furthermore, only the descendants of the founder can use that spirit vein. Ao Jiao smiled gently and said, naturally not. I'm just giving an example. There's more than one spirit vein in this world. Xiao Chun reacted and said, are you saying that there are other spirit veins that have not been discovered by anyone? That is impossible. The existing spirit veins have already been divided up by the various sections. There was no way to hide a spirit vein. The spiritual energy that it gave off could be felt from 5 kilometers away. Its value was immeasurable. There would always be spirit stone mines around spirit veins. Spirit stones were the currency of cultivators. One could easily imagine the wealth that came from controlling a spirit vein. Sometimes the number of spirit veins described a sect. It was a sign of how strong it was. It was the foundation of a sect. Without a spirit vein, the sect would automatically disband. The 3 great sects of the Great Qi Nation were able to exist for 10,000 years because they each controlled a spirit vein. The various powers had already divided up the spirit veins many years ago. Any sect that possessed a spirit vein was not something that Xiao Chun could afford to offend. Ao Jiao scolded jokingly. Idiot, since I said there is definitely. There is no need for you to doubt it. However, with your current cultivation, there is a 70% chance that you will fail to absorb the spirit vein's origin. Once you fail, your body will explode and you will die. A 70% chance of failure. The risk was too high. Xiao Chun thought for a while and made a decision after a while. He said, I could take a gamble if I have a 50% chance. 70% is too high. It is not worth it. Xiao Chun had already opened his sea of consciousness long ago. Once his cultivation reached that level, he would advance to martial monarch. There was no need to risk his life for the sake of advancing to martial monarch within half a year. Ao Jiao smiled gently and said, I have not finished speaking yet. If you can cultivate the firmament body tempering art to the 6th layer, your success rate will increase to 50%. I'll take the gamble, Xiao Chun said without hesitation, revealing a decisive look in his eyes. In Dragon Sealing City, the instant the true dragon appeared, Xiao Chun's firmament body tempering art reached peak consummation of the 5th layer. If he focused, he would be able to break through to the 6th layer in less than half a month. After Xiao Chun made up his mind, it was time to take action. After saying goodbye to Lu Ruyue, Xiao Chun prepared to embark on a new journey. The spirit vein that Ao Jiao spoke of was in the ancient desolate lands Heavenly Extermination Lake's mountain range at the bottom of the Heavenly Extermination Lake. The environment there was very dangerous, and demonic beasts roamed about. Entering it would be very difficult. The spirit vein was discovered by the Thunder King in the past. Because no one cared for it, its spiritual energy had been leaking out for thousands of years. It was hard to say how much energy the spirit vein's origin still had. It had already been 5,000 years. It was possible that the spirit vein had already been abandoned. For the sake of not wasting time, Xiaochen only made 3 days of preparations. The entire Heavenly Saber Pavilion was still in an excited and bustling state. Xiaochen left silently. Aside from Lu Ruyue, no one knew where he went. 10,000 meters above the Great Qin Nation, there was an insignificant scarlet cloud compared to the vast sky. It turned into a scarlet line as it moved forward quickly. Underground, even a cultivator with good eyesight would not be able to discover the existence of that scarlet cloud. When the strong spirit beasts in the sky felt the surging, killing chi from the scarlet cloud, they could not avoid it in time, not daring to clash with it. There was a scarlet throne above the scarlet cloud. Xiao Chun sat on it, cultivating the firmament body-tempering art with his eyes closed. Xiao Chen's long hair fluttered in the wind. The tyrannical air of a king appeared indistinctly. Due to the scarlet throne, even though Xiao Chun withdrew his aura, that might still spread out, unable to leak out. In reality, from the moment the true dragon appeared, Xiao Chun discovered that his mentality had changed at some point in time. In the past, peak martial monarchs like the half-sage Shin Manjun could give him a lot of pressure. However, Xiao Chun could remain indifferent to them. He even felt that they were nothing much. The king-grade, true dragon silently broadened Xiao Chen's horizons, allowing him to slowly recognize his identity as a future king. The silence did not allow Xiao Chun to reject it. Whether he was willing or not, his future path would be filled with thorns, blood, and wind. It would not be peaceful. A king would not settle for second place. If Xiao Chun advanced to martial monarch, he had to be the strongest among martial monarchs. If he advanced to martial sage, he had to be the strongest martial sage. If he advanced to Emperor Wu, he had to be the king of emperors. Chapter 613. The people who originally occupied the first rank would definitely be dissatisfied. There would also be the king-grade true dragons of the other great thousand realms. Gee! A sharp bird cry resounded. A black demonic beast with a leopard's head and eagle's body appeared in front of the throne. A berserk aura spread out as it sized up Xiao Chun with malicious intent. It was a demonic beast, not a spirit beast. It was not frightened by the killing intent coming from the throne. Instead, it was eager to try, wondering if eating Xiao Chun would increase its strength. Xiao Chun opened his eyes and punched calmly. An azure dragon head formed on his fist as he executed the berserk dragon stance of the dragon claw fist. Bang! The fist exploded and the berserk dragon roared. The leopard-headed eagle did not even have a chance to dodge before the punch blasted it into a bloody mist. You overestimate yourself. You're just a mere peak rank 7 demonic beast, and you dare to block my path? Xiao Chun closed his eyes again. The scarlet throne did not stop at all. It broke through the bloody mist and continued flying forward. Half a month later, Xiao Chun successfully broke through the bottleneck of the firmament body-tempering art's 5th layer, reaching the 6th layer. Now, he could deliver 500 tons of force with a casual punch. With just the strength of his physical body, Xiao Chun was able to secure a spot among half-step martial monarchs. Xiao Chun could already see the vast and boundless heavenly extermination lake below. The islands on the lake looked like they were dotted with stars. The number of people in the sky slowly increased. Not wanting to attract too much attention, Xiao Chun put away the throne long ago. Then, he used his essence to fly in the air. From time to time, the martial kings that passed by him would feel a huge pressure and subconsciously move away. What a strong aura! When did such a strong youth come to the ancient desolate land? Everyone's gazes filled with doubt. They could not understand what was going on. Right now, Xiao Qin's aura was so strong that even some of the older generation experts sighed. He was truly an unrivaled existence among half-step martial monarchs. 1,000 meters northeast of the island in front, then dive straight down, and you will reach the place I said. Ao Jiao's voice sounded in his mind. Xiao Chun glanced around and sped up. He turned into a purple line and landed on the surface of the water in a few breaths, splashing into the water with a splash. Gulp, gulp. Circulating his vital qi, Xiao Chun continuously increased the gravity around him. His entire body was like a lead ball that had fallen into the water. He dove down at an extremely fast speed, and bubbles kept appearing around him. At first, he could still see some light, but after a kilometer, the bottom of the lake became dark. Even with Xiao Chen's eyesight, he couldn't see beyond 100 meters. Due to the refraction of the water, what Xiao Chen saw with his spiritual sense was hazy. He could only make out a rough idea. At this moment, Xiao Chun frowned slightly and let out a soft cry of surprise. There was a large patch of blood floating in the lake in front of him, giving off a pungent smell. As he continued to dive deeper, there was more and more blood. However, he did not see any of the beasts that Ao Jiao mentioned. It seemed like this place had been swept by someone in advance. Bang! Xiao Chen's body trembled slightly. He finally reached the bottom of this heavenly extermination lake, and his feet touched solid ground. When he scanned the area with his spiritual sense, he could roughly tell that there was a majestic mountain range at the bottom of the lake about 500 meters in front of him. It was 1,000 meters tall and looked very vast. The mountain range at the bottom of the lake was actually several times wider than the Lingyun mountain range where the Heavenly Saber Pavilion was. The blood was also the densest in this place. When Xiao Chun looked around, all he could see was dark red blood. It was viscous and did not melt for a long time. It gave off an extremely disgusting stench. Occasionally, he could see the remains of some wandering demonic beasts. It was easy to tell that these were the worthless parts of the demonic beasts. Seeing this, Xiao Chun was certain that someone had swept through this place before Xiao Chun. Ao Jiao, does anyone else know about this place? Xiao Chun asked somewhat worriedly. If someone had gotten here before him, then he would have wasted a lot of time. Ao Jiao shook her head slightly and said, "There is no need to worry. Those people should have some other purpose. This place is the birthplace of the extreme Yin underworld flame. 5,000 years ago, the Thunder King discovered the spirit vein by chance when he was retrieving the flame seed. He laid down some restrictions, making it very difficult for others to discover the spirit vein. Firmament flame? Xiao Chun entered deep thought. His lunar true flame had already formed an origin flame. However, it had not absorbed any Yin-attributed flames. Compared to the purple thunder true fire, its might was much weaker. If he had an opportunity to strengthen the lunar true flame, he might be able to execute the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram that he used in the Trial of Desire. However, the purpose of this trip was still the spirit vein's origin. There was no need to think too much about the lunar true flame. He would act according to the situation. Xiao Chun stretched out his right hand, and a surging essence formed a suction force on his palm. The black blood mixed with the lake water quickly gathered in his hand. Hu-chi, Hu-chi. A scarlet whirlpool formed on Xiao Chen's palm. The surrounding lake water slowly turned clear. After a while, all the blood condensed into a ball of blood that had been compressed countless times. Xiao Chun casually waved his hand, and the ball of blood flew up at an extremely fast speed. After a long time, it formed a pillar of water on the surface of the heavenly extermination lake. The ball of blood exploded and turned into a rain of blood. As it fell, the cultivators passing by were astonished. While in the clear lake water, Xiao Chun used his vision and discovered a crack in a mountain range in front. That was the entrance that Ao Jiao mentioned. Xiao Chun pushed off the bottom of the lake and moved like lightning. He entered that crack with a shio sound. At first, the crack was very narrow. After walking for 10 minutes, it widened. Clear footprints could be seen on the ground. Based on the shape and number of footprints, there were quite a lot of people, at least 100 of them. Xiao Chun did not know which faction of the ancient desolate land did this. 10 minutes later, the lake water in the crack had completely receded. The area in front suddenly opened up, and a vast world appeared in Xiao Chen's vision. Stone pillars of all shapes and sizes hung upside down a kilometer above him. Cracks extended for 500 kilometers on the ground. Occasionally, strands of inattributed flames wafted out of the cracks. Xiao Chen revealed a shocked expression. It was hard to imagine that there was such a miraculous scene in a mountain range at the bottom of the lake. Halt! The Holy Fire Manor is conducting business here. Would you please leave for now? Suddenly, two middle-aged cultivators leaped out from above. They wore the same clothes and held sharp sabers in their hands. They looked at Xiao Chun cautiously. Because spiritual sense was not very useful in the heavenly extermination lake, Xiao Chun had not released it at all times. He only discovered these two people after they jumped out. When Xiao Chun looked around, he immediately made out the cultivation of these two people. They were peak superior grade martial kings. Their auras were not weak, and their cultivation techniques would not be weak either. They would be considered experts in the ancient desolate land. However, in Xiao Chen's eyes, they were far from sufficient. The Holy Fire Manor. Xiao Chun had a good impression of this sect. Back then, he and Bai Lishi had uprooted their branch in Desolate City. The two of them had also killed their young manor lord and an inner sect elder. Xiao Chun had not expected to meet them here today. In order to obtain the Netherworld Flame, we need a martial monarch expert to hold the line. Xiao Chun needs to deal with these two people quickly. We cannot drag this out. Ao Jiao reminded him. Don't be unable to tell good from bad. Our first Manor Lord and second Manor Lord are here. With your half-step martial monarch cultivation, they can destroy you with one finger. Be smart and scram. When the person on the right saw that Xiao Chun did not move, he pointed at Xiao Chun and shouted. The Holy Fire Manor had two martial monarch experts. Xiao Chun had heard about them long ago. It looked like they were both here. Regardless of the cultivation of these two martial monarchs, if they worked together, Xiao Chun would not be a match for them. However, since he was already here, there was no reason for him to retreat. Xiao Chun squinted and suddenly made a move. He stomped heavily on the ground, leaving a 3-inch deep footprint. He executed the Blue Dragon Cloud soaring art. A resonant dragon roar came from behind him. The person who spoke felt like a blue dragon was flying at him. Breaking armor. When Xiao Chun punched, a sharp shockwave formed above his fist. It tore through this person's defense like it was made of paper and left a bloody hole the size of a bowl on his chest. Seizing the heart, Xiao Chen's right hand turned into a claw, and in the time it took for a spark to fly, he pierced through the second person's chest. However, before this person died, he shot out a short arrow he had hidden in his sleeve. The arrow was coated with a special kind of fuel, and it quickly burned in the air. Xiao Chun flicked his right finger and fired out a strand of purple flame. When the arrow was halfway up, he intercepted it. However, when the arrow exploded, it gave off a sharp, ear-piercing sound. The sound waves could be heard clearly within 5 kilometers. Let's go. Xiao Chun had not expected the arrow to be so effective. His expression changed, and he quickly fled in another direction. A kilometer away, the 100-man team of the Holy Fire Manor was currently fighting a large group of flame giants. These flame giants were fire spirits formed from flames lingering in the air for a long time. They did not have a physical body and did not feel pain. Furthermore, there were many of them, making them very difficult to deal with. 2 old men hovered quietly above the group. Extremely powerful auras radiated from their bodies. Every now and then, they would strike down a fire spirit that was blocking their way. When the 2 old men heard the ear-piercing sound, their expressions changed at the same time. The gray-robed old man on the right said, "Big brother, unexpectedly, aside from us, there's someone else who knows the location of the Netherworld Flame." The blue-robed old man on the left said sullenly, "I am very fast. I will go take a look first. I'll leave this place to you." Shio, shio, shio. Right after the blue-robed old man spoke, he quickly flew over. He was simply too fast. It was to the extent that the space around him was unable to endure it, and numerous mottled fissures appeared on it. Xiao Chun was unlucky. The Holy Fire Manners team happened to be blocked by the fire spirits, so they did not manage to get far. To the blue-robed old man, he crossed the distance of 1 kilometer in a few breaths of time. After he arrived, he squinted and immediately saw Xiao Chun flying. The blue-robed old man's expression relaxed, and a murderous intent appeared in his eyes. He smiled coldly and said, "You're just a half-step martial monarch, and you dare to come here to join in the fun? You are too bold." Chi! Chi! The blue-robed old man raised his speed to the limit, and a pitch-black crack appeared behind him. Then, he chased after Xiao Chun. After executing the blue dragon cloud soaring art, Xiao Chun became like a flood dragon leaping about. He had already activated the blood flame shoes long ago, but he still could not shake off the blue-robed old man's pursuit. Chapter 614. The distance between them slowly decreased. After 15 minutes, the old man was less than 500 meters away from Xiao Chun. Dying. The blue-robed old man's gaze turned cold as he used his palm as a saber. Vast quintessence gathered in his palm. His figure flashed, and he arrived above Xiao Chun's head. Then he hacked down with his palm. The palm wind howled, and tiny cracks appeared in space. If this palm strike landed, Xiao Chun would definitely suffer. The difference in speed was too great. One used quintessence while the other used essence. There was no way to compete. Since that was the case, there was no point in running. Thunder Shadow Chop. Xiao Chun drew the lunar shadow saber at lightning speed. He turned around and retreated 7 steps, leaving behind 7 afterimages on the ground. Each afterimage had a saber, sending out 7 dazzling saber lights. Merge! The afterimages merged, and the saber lit up with a dazzling light. The peak saber technique that was infused with 7-fold might clashed with the blue-robed old man's horrifying palm saber. Bang! The 2 moves collided head-on without any fancy moves. Powerful energy ripples burst out and spread out in waves. The void was refracted layer by layer. Xiao Chun retreated 3 steps, but the blue-robed old man retreated 10 steps. After the blue-robed old man stabilized himself, his expression changed greatly. He had been too careless with his palm strike. He had used only a quarter of his quintessence. Even so, he should have been able to injure a half-step martial monarch easily. Even if he could not injure the other party severely, he should not have lost to him in a clash of strength and even suffered a small loss. The blue-robed old man looked up and saw Xiao Chun's face. He was slightly stunned, and rage appeared in his eyes. He clenched his teeth and shouted, "It's you, white-robed bladesman, Xiao Chun." Sparks of electricity leaped around the saber. Xiao Chun held his saber with one hand. He remained expressionless, not showing much fear. The other party had not reached peak inferior grade martial monarch. As long as 2 martial monarchs did not make a move, even if Xiao Chun could not defeat the other party, he would be able to leave easily. Xiao Chun said calmly, "I am not here for your netherworld flame. If you do not stop me, I will not interfere. How about we not interfere?" "Ha!" The blue-robed old man laughed loudly. "Not interfere? What qualifications do you have to say that? You were the one who destroyed the Holy Fire Manners branch in Desolate City, right? Without evidence, old sir, please do not speak nonsense," Xiao Chun said unhurriedly. His calm eyes showed no fluctuations. The blue-robed old man's pupils constricted, and a murderous intent spread in his eyes. He snorted coldly. "This place is desolate and uninhabited. No one will know if I kill you." The Holy Fire Manor's Desolate City branch had been destroyed, and his son had been killed. The blue-robed old man had investigated for a long time, and Xiao Chun was the most suspicious. As long as there was this suspicion, Xiao Chun deserved to die. "It looks like you really think that you are unrivaled after becoming the champion of the 5-nation youth competition. Today, I will show you the difference between you and a martial monarch." The blue-robed old man snored as cold. Frost. Vast quintessence gathered on Xiao Qian's right palm. He casually threw a palm strike, and space trembled violently. It was like a mountain covered his head. Hu Qi, the essence in Xiao Qian's body, instantly solidified. Thousands of purple lights shot out from all over his body. His pitch-black eyes turned deep purple as well, giving off a bright light in this dark underground. Clouds move everywhere. Wind and lightning gather. Strong winds blew from all directions, and the clouds churned in the sky. Xiao Qian instantly executed the starting moves of the lightning tribulation saber technique. Dang! The saber and palm clashed, and a surging shock wave exploded out. The charred ground instantly exploded. Countless black rocks flew up into the air, driven by the shock wave. Bang! 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 Amid the thousands of floating rocks, the two exchanged moves at lightning speed. Thunder roared, and the killing intent surged. The palm wind infused with strong quintessence caused space to tremble. Countless cracks appeared. The shockwaves from the fight between the two caused the huge rocks floating in the surroundings to scatter like snowflakes. Along with the strong wind, the rocks scattered into the air, filling the air with dust. Earthly lightning tribulation. Wind and lightning gathered, and his aura reached its peak. Xiao Qian completely unleashed the state of massacre from the throne. The berserk saber technique in his hand instantly gained an additional state of massacre. The might of the lightning tribulation immediately soared. Mountain pushing palm. The blue-robed old man was slightly startled. He circulated 70% of his quintessence, and a resplendent jade-like light surged on his right palm. When the blue-robed old man pushed his palm out, it was like a mountain moved, pushing all the wind over. Bang! A loud sound rang out, and a huge pit appeared under the two. The white inattributed flame hidden in it flew out like thousands of catkins. The blue-robed old man took a step back, moving 100 meters with each step. When he landed, he left a dent in the ground. Heavenly lightning tribulation. Xiao Qian's aura flourished. He did not take a single step back. He turned into the heavenly Tao and laid down a second lightning tribulation. The blue-robed old man's aura weakened, and he was knocked back another 100 meters. Divine lightning tribulation. When the final lightning tribulation descended, the blue-robed old man retreated 500 meters with a pale complexion. He had not expected that even after using 70% of his quintessence, he still could not block Xiao Qian. Qi! Xiao Qian looked up and discovered that the blue-robed old man's body was covered in burning quintessence at some point in time. In that instant, the blue-robed old man's aura soared wildly, reaching peak inferior grade martial monarch. A strong wind blew behind him, kicking up wind everywhere. Quickly run, Xiao Qian. He is burning his quintessence. Furthermore, he is using the extreme flame to burn it. You are definitely not a match for him, Ao Jiao said quickly from the lunar shadow saber. Burning quintessence was a technique that only martial monarchs could grasp. It drained their quintessence several times faster to increase their strength. Martial monarchs would not burn their quintessence unless they had no other choice. Furthermore, if the other party used the extreme flame to burn his quintessence, his strength would increase even more. Xiao Qian understood the severity of the situation. He sheathed his saber and quickly retreated. You're still thinking of running at this time? The blue-robed old man snorted coldly, and his figure flashed. In the blink of an eye, he caught up to Xiao Qian. Everywhere he passed, the quintessence flames on his body burned a large patch of empty space. The blue-robed old man's palm wind was like thunder, pressing toward Xiao Qian's back. A sense of extreme danger appeared in Xiao Qian's heart. His face sank, and he quickly turned around. Then he crossed his arms and materialized the stance of a dragon and a tiger. A dragon in the left hand and a tiger in the right. The dragon roared and the tiger roared. Crouching tiger, hidden dragon. Bang! The palm strike landed on Xiao Qian's arms, and he vomited a mouthful of blood. He tumbled a few times in the air before landing firmly on the ground after twisting his body. Xiao Qin's qi and blood surged. The blue-robed old man's burning quintessence surged through his meridians. His internal organs were instantly damaged, and he felt intense pain. After wiping off the blood from his lips, Xiao Qin knelt on one knee and smiled at the blue-robed old man. He said, "You truly are a martial monarch expert. You can injure me to such an extent with just one palm strike. I will exchange pointers with you in the future. I will definitely return this palm strike." The blue-robed old man knew Xiao Qin and mocked him for bullying the weak. He said in a cold voice, "Even at death's door, you still dare to be stubborn. Even if you are a king gray true dragon, you'll have to kneel here today." Boom! However, just at this moment, a blazing fire suddenly surged out from Xiao Qin's right eye. The purple thunder, true fire, covered the sky as it moved towards the old man. Its aura was very horrifying. Insignificant skill. This old man has played with fire all my life. A large clump of pale, white flames appeared on the blue-robed old man's right hand. There was an origin flame the size of a chicken egg in that flame, looking as resplendent as a star. The blue-robed old man casually waved his hand, and this clump of flames blasted apart the purple flames that covered Xiao Qin. They turned into sparks drifting down. The blue-robed old man revealed a cocky expression. He had cultivated his extreme Yin flame for 50 years. His origin flame was even stronger. Unexpectedly, Xiao Qin dared to play with fire with him. However, the instant the flames scattered, the blue-robed old man's complexion turned green. He saw 81 figures of Xiao Qin in front of him. It was hard to tell which one was the real one. All of them flew in 81 different directions. If the blue-robed old man had personally seen Xiao Qin execute the roaming dragon's 9 transformations, he might have been able to tell which one was the real one. However, now that he faced 81 figures, how could he tell which was the real one? Damn it! The rage on the Holy Fire Manor's first Manor Lord's face was indescribable. A bona fide martial monarch expert had used the extreme Yin flame to burn his quintessence. Unexpectedly, a half-step martial monarch brat managed to escape. It was already embarrassing enough for the first Manor Lord to make a move against a junior. In the end, he failed to stop the other party, which was even more embarrassing. Fortunately, there were no outsiders here. Otherwise, if word of this spread, he would not be able to keep his old face. Bang! The blue-robed old man stomped heavily on the ground. He infused all his remaining quintessence and rage into this stomp. A long crack appeared in the ground. The energy in the crack was like a knife. As the crack extended, it even cut the air in half. "Big brother, what's going on?" A voice came from behind the blue-robed old man. It was the Holy Fire Manor's second Manor Lord rushing over. He had felt the blue-robed old man burn his quintessence, and thought that the blue-robed old man had run into a strong opponent. The blue-robed old man calmed himself and said, "That person is Xiao Qin." The gray-robed old man suddenly understood. He said, "The first rank of the true dragon ranking, the white-robed bladesman Xiao Qin, is the prime suspect for killing the first young master. Isn't he only a half-step martial monarch? How?" Seeing the blue-robed old man's hostile expression, the gray-robed old man quickly shut up. He said, "He ran off just like that? Will he come and cause trouble when we are hunting the Netherworld fire spirit?" The first Manor Lord said coldly, "If he dares, it will be fine if he does not come. If he does, we can kill him as well. We will be able to obtain some of the king's luck he has. Send people to guard the exit. I don't believe that he will not come out. After we subdue the Netherworld flame seed, we will come and settle the score with him. Don't be so rash in the future. Those who can become martial monarchs are definitely not mediocre. I have never seen anyone use essence to clash with quintessence. That is suicide," A.O. Jiao, who was in the Lunar Shadow Saber, chided. Xiao Qin had just consumed a 1,000-year-old spirit herb for treating injuries. He refined it for a while, allowing the medicinal energy to seep into his internal organs even faster. After a while, he vomited a mouthful of blood, and his complexion looked much better. When Xiao Chun heard Ao Jiao's words, he stood up and smiled. It's fine. I know what I'm doing. After exchanging moves with that person, I gained a better understanding of my own strength. After the Five-Nation Youth Competition, Xiao Chen's strength had soared. However, he had not found a suitable opponent. Among the half-step martial monarchs, no one could interest him. The blue-robed old man happened to be an inferior grade martial monarch. By exchanging moves with him, Xiao Chun could gain a better understanding of his own strength. Chapter 615. With Xiao Chen's current combat prowess, a regular inferior grade martial monarch would not be a match for him if he did not burn his quintessence. If Xiao Chun encountered an inferior grade martial monarch like the blue-robed old man who could use the extreme Yin flame to burn his quintessence, there would be a gap. If Xiao Chun could advance to martial monarch and refine his essence into quintessence, the blue-robed old man would not last more than 10 moves against him, even if he burned his quintessence. Compared to Xiao Chun, aside from having an advantage in quintessence, the blue-robed old man's martial techniques, cultivation techniques, and combat techniques were inferior. If Xiao Chun used the purple thunder true fire to burn his quintessence, the blue-robed old man would not even be able to last 3 moves. A fervent look flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes as he looked around. Then, he said, "Let's not talk about this anymore. Where is Ao Jiao's spirit vein's origin? I can't wait to see it. Head northeast. Walk 10 kilometers. You should be able to see a small hill. There's a restriction that the Thunder King left there. I'll help you open it." 10 kilometers was not too far. Xiao Chun looked around. Although he felt a strong urge to rush over, he was not that rash. Xiao Chun sat cross-legged on the ground again and continued to treat his injuries. He ensured that he would not sustain any injuries and rushed over in his best state. After 1 hour, Xiao Chun opened his eyes. He felt energized. He pushed off the ground and turned into a flood dragon rushing over. However, before Xiao Chun got far, he ran into some trouble. 10 odd ferocious fire spirits blocked his way. Xiao Chun had seen fire spirits in the Scarlet Blood Prison, so he did not panic. He knew how to deal with these inattributed fire spirits that did not feel pain. A clump of purple thunder true fire appeared with Xiao Chen's right hand. A purple light flickered in his eyes, and the flame on his palm glowed with a dazzling light. Xiao Chun had taken out his origin flame. The might of the purple thunder true fire, which contained the origin flame, was completely different from before. When Xiao Chun saw the fire spirits flying over, he shouted, "Life bestowal spell." The flames immediately took shape and eventually turned into 10 sharp short swords. Xiao Chun swung his right hand, and the short sword shot out. Bang! 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 The purple flame short swords of extreme yang stabbed into the hearts of these fire spirits and immediately exploded. The 10 troublesome fire spirits were instantly blown into countless sparks. Xiao Chun smiled faintly, and a purple light flickered in his right eye. The short swords in the air turned into 10 beams of light and returned to his right eye. Relying on a short sword formed by the purple thunder true fire, Xiao Chun swept his way forward. After 15 minutes, he arrived at the hill that Ao Jiao mentioned. The hill was not large, not more than 200 meters tall and stretching for 300 meters. It was black in color and looked extremely ordinary. There were countless similar hills in this underground world. The source of his spiritual vein is below here. Xiao Chun walked around the hill and did not feel anything special about the spirit chi here. No matter how he looked at it, it was just an ordinary hill. Ao Jiao nodded and said, "In this spiritual vein's origin isn't suppressed by a spiritual gathering array, so the spiritual energy is leaking all year round." The Thunder King took half of it back then. He was afraid that someone would discover this place, so he casually laid down a restriction. "Wait for me for a while." Xiao. Right after Xiao Chun spoke, Ao Jiao flew out of the lunar shadow saber. The glow of the saber immediately dimmed significantly. It had been a long time since Xiao Chun had seen Ao Jiao in person. He sized her up carefully and discovered that she had not changed at all. She was a head shorter than Xiao Chun. She looked like a little girl, and her sexy figure was the same as before. Looking at the mound in front of her, Ao Jiao revealed a nostalgic expression. She sighed and quickly formed hand seals with her hands. When she was done, she pointed with her dainty right hand and said, "Open!" Before Xiao Qian's astonished gaze, the solid hill split in half. A surging spiritual energy surged out. "Don't just stand there. Quickly go in." If the two people from the Holy Fire Manor sense this spiritual energy, we will be in big trouble. Xiao Chun understood this principle. His figure flashed, and he turned into a purple light. Then, he instantly entered the tunnel at the foot of the hill. Ao Jiao entered after him. She formed hand seals again, and the hill closed up, returning to its ordinary state. The blue-robed old man and the gray-robed old man, who were heading for the netherworld flame seed in the distance, frowned at the same time. After advancing to Martial Monarch, cultivators would start cultivating mental energy. They were extremely sensitive to the changes in spiritual energy. At that moment, both of them sensed an abnormally powerful spirit qi gushing out abruptly. The gray-robed old man said, "Big brother, should we go and take a look?" The Heavenly Extermination Lake is where the Tianwu dynasty's imperial capital used to be. A strange treasure might have appeared there. I'll go and take a look. Later, you can deal with the netherworld fire spirit, the blue-robed old man said after some thought. The tunnel was dark and gloomy. A dense spiritual fog lingered in the surroundings. The walls were covered in dew formed from spiritual energy. It looked like they had not dissipated even after thousands of years. There was no need to cultivate here. All one had to do was open their mouth and inhale, and their cultivation would increase instantly. However, Xiao Qin did not dare to inhale. The spiritual fog contained many impurities. The cave was not ventilated all year round. These impurities would cause significant harm to the physical body. Xiao Chun could only watch helplessly. As Xiao Chun walked forward, the spiritual fog dissipated at the end of the tunnel. An underground river appeared before his eyes. The water gushed, and a fragrant spiritual energy assaulted his nose. The entire river was actually made of spiritual liquid. Xiao Chun sighed and said, "This is really an extraordinary waste. How much spiritual energy has been wasted after 5,000 years, allowing a spirit river to flow continuously?" Ao Jiao, who was following behind Xiao Chun, smiled slightly. She said, "How ignorant. It is just the lowest grade spirit vein. You will know when you go to the Kunlun realm. When you see the heavenly spring ancient river, you will know what a true spirit river is." After being looked down upon by Ao Jiao, Xiao Chun smiled embarrassedly. He could not refute her. He knew that spirit veins were divided into different grades. However, he was not clear on how they were divided. The end of the spirit river was where the spirit veins' origin was. The two of them walked forward. Along the way, Ao Jiao explained the different grades of spirit veins to Xiao Chun. Spirit veins were divided into 5 ranks, from lowest to highest. Rank 1 spirit veins were the most ordinary. There would not even be any spirit stone mines around them. Only rank 2 spirit veins would have spirit stones. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion had a rank 2 spirit vein. However, the spirit stones that a rank 2 spirit vein produced were mostly inferior grade spirit stones. Medial grade spirit stones were rare. Only rank 4 spirit veins could produce large amounts of superior grade spirit stones. Rank 4 spirit veins were also known as peak spirit veins. There were less than 5 peak spirit veins in the Tianwu continent. Furthermore, they were in a state of near exhaustion. They could no longer produce large amounts of superior grade spirit stones. Rank 5 spirit veins were known as holy spirit veins. There was not a single one in the Tianwu continent. Even the Kunlun realm, they were extremely precious. As they spoke, the two of them reached the end of the spirit river. When Xiao Chun saw the spirit veins' origin floating in the air, he frowned slightly. As they spoke, the two of them reached the end of the spirit river. When Xiao Chun saw the spirit veins' origin floating in the air, he frowned slightly. Spiritual rain fell continuously in the spiritual fog, providing a sufficient source of water for the spirit river on the ground. In the middle of the spiritual fog, There was an azure ball of light floating quietly. Layers of comprehension spread out from the ball of light. An azure ball of light floated quietly in the center of the spiritual fog. Layers of comprehension spread out from the ball of light. Xiao Chan smiled bitterly and said, "I'm afraid we made a wasted trip this time. My impression of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's spirit veins origin is boundless, like I'm in the middle of a vast sea." However, Ao Jiao smiled happily and said, Idiot master, you picked up a treasure, and you still don't know anything? You are even stupider than Master Blockhead." Xiao Chan felt suspicious and asked, "What do you mean? With one look, I can tell that you have not seen the Heavenly Saber Pavilion spirit veins origin. Even the peak spirit veins origin is only 10 meters wide. How can it be boundless?" After thinking back, Xiao Chan remembered that he had indeed not seen the Heavenly Saber Pavilion spirit veins origin. Back then, he had only sat on the prayer mat for an instant. The boundless feeling was a scene that appeared in his mind. Ao Jiao continued, "No matter how well a spirit vein is maintained, as time passes, it will slowly weaken. I estimate the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's spirit veins origin is only 10 times larger than this spirit veins origin." You came at the right time. The spirit veins origin here is the limit of what your body can endure. This way, the risk of your body exploding is greatly reduced. Xiao Chun looked at the spirit veins origin with a fiery gaze. He could not help but feel excited. After advancing to martial monarch, he had refined his essence into quintessence. Another door on the path of cultivation was about to open to him. Ao Jiao stretched out her hand and asked Xiao Chun for some superior grade spirit stones. She said with a calm expression, "Although the risk has been greatly reduced, it is not without risk. Remember this. Don't be greedy. Don't let power cloud your rationality. When I am done laying the spirit sealing formation, you can go and swallow the spirit veins origin. Remember what I said. Don't ever forget it." Xiao Chun nodded and said, "Go ahead and lay the formation." Ao Jiao waved her right hand, and a strong wind blew, clearing away the dense spiritual fog. Only the beautiful azure spirit veins origin could be seen floating quietly in the air. Xiao! Xiao! Spirit stones flew out from Ao Jiao's hands. After she tossed out a total of 108 superior grade spirit stones, she started to form hand seals. Finally, she pointed at the spirit stones one by one. The spirit stones immediately gave off a faint glow. Lines shot out from them and linked all the spirit stones together. An extremely complicated formation immediately appeared above the spirit veins origin. Each of the 18 corners of the formation shone with a dazzling brilliance, sealing a part of the world inside. Ao Jiao said softly, "The spirit sealing formation is already laid. The spiritual energy in the spirit veins origin will not leak out. Go ahead. Success or failure depended on this." Xiao Chen took a deep breath and floated up. He flew to the center of the formation and sat down cross-legged. The spirit sealing formation formed a formless plane in the air. Xiao Chen did not need to move it. He could make it float. That palm-sized rank 1 spirit veins origin floated quietly above Xiao Chen's head. Boom! The instant he sat down, a surging river appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. The river was vast and mighty, as though it could destroy everything in the world. Xiao Chen's heart sank. He finally understood that what Ao Jiao said was true. The spiritual energy contained in this palm-sized spirit vein was at least 1/10 of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion spirit veins. Chapter 6:16. Maintaining his calm, Xiao Chun circulated the purple thunder divine incantation's 6th layer calmly. He slowly absorbed the surging spiritual energy from the spirit origin. As the river flowed, the crystalline chi whirlpool above his dantian quickly filled up. A strong energy spread throughout his body. In the time it took to breathe, Xiao Chen's cultivation soared rapidly. Normally, cultivating for 10 days to half a month would not even compare to 1 breath of time. This kind of instant increase in strength caused all the muscles in Xiao Chen's body to swell and his blood to surge. As his strength swelled, it put a lot of pressure on Xiao Chen's flesh and bones. The benefits of the firmament body tempering art's sixth layer manifested itself. Xiao Chen's muscles swelled and his blood vessels surged. However, it was still within his control. His skin did not burst from the swelling blood vessels. Cultivators had an innate desire for strength. When their strength increased, they would unconsciously feel an intense sense of excitement and satisfaction. As long as one was human, they would not be able to avoid it. Having excitement and satisfaction was not a bad thing. It could motivate cultivators to work harder. However, there was a limit to everything. Once there was too much, it would become a bad thing. At this moment, this excitement and satisfaction surged into Xiao Chen's mind 100-fold, 1,000-fold. It made him feel like his entire body was filled with energy, like it could increase endlessly. Faster, faster, faster. Xiao Chen's heart roared loudly. His face flushed red, clearly excited. Kassiye. When Xiao Chen's spirit origin was drained by 2/3, the purple crystalline chi whirlpool in his body doubled in size. The bottleneck he had been waiting for finally arrived. However, that boundless energy continued to pour in endlessly. That sense of excitement filled Xiao Chen's mind. It seemed like he could still increase it slightly. It would be a pity to waste so much spiritual energy. Don't be greedy. Don't let power cloud your rationality. Just as this thought appeared in Xiao Chen's mind, Ao Jiao's words rang out in his mind. He immediately came to his senses and stopped circulating the purple thunder divine incantation. The spirit ceiling formation was filled with spiritual energy. The mist was extremely dense, but it was locked by the light curtain around the base of the formation. Not a single bit of it leaked out. Ao Jiao's gaze pierced through the light screen. When she saw the remaining spirit veins origin above Xiao Chen's head, she heaved a sigh of relief. She smiled and said, "Since you managed to overcome the stage of desire in the ancient desolate tower, I knew that my stupid master would not be blinded by strength." The situation just now was extremely thrilling. If Xiao Chen didn't stop, his body would have been instantly burst by the skyrocketing spiritual energy, and he would have died without any chance of survival. The crystalline cyclone above his dantian had already swelled to its limit. Its spinning speed gradually slowed down, and in the end it completely stopped moving. Xiao! The instant the crystal cyclone came to a stop, the mental power within his sea of wisdom abruptly surged. It flowed through the Tianmen acupoint on the top of his head to the main meridian in his dantian, and a powerful mental power flowed forth like a waterfall. The mental power started to refine the essence into quintessence. This was a very difficult stage for ordinary people. However, it was very easy for Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen had already opened his sea of consciousness long ago. His vast mental power was much stronger than his essence. Refining quintessence was very easy. As the mental power entered the crystal cyclone, it slowly melted. Dida, Dida. A melodious sound rang out in Xiao Chen's body. A purple liquid that was purer and stronger than the solidified essence appeared above Xiao Chen's dantian drop by drop. After that, it flowed through all the meridians in Xiao Chen's body. When Xiao Chen felt the purer and denser energy, he rejoiced. He muttered to himself, "Is this quintessence?" Originally, with Xiao Chen's vast essence, the process of refining quintessence would take at least 2 months. However, his mental power was more than 100 times stronger than others. This time was greatly reduced. After 1 hour, all the essence had been refined into quintessence. The purple quintessence circulated in the main meridians and minor meridians for a great cycle before returning to the dantian and forming 99 drops of purple liquid. Bang! Xiao Chen opened his eyes. The instant he stopped, the strong energy in his body spread out uncontrollably. The entire ground started to tremble. The blue-robed old man on the ground searched for a long time, but could not find the source of the strange spiritual energy. Just as he was about to leave, the mound behind him suddenly trembled. The blue-robed old man soared into the air and cautiously sized up the unremarkable mound. Strong self-confidence flickered in Xiao Chen's eyes. He circulated a drop of purple quintessence and casually sent out a strand of saber chi formed from quintessence. In that instant, a long, pitch-black crack appeared in space. Sensing that the drop of quintessence was far from exhausted, Xiao Chen's right hand did not stop moving. He sent out 130 strands of saber chi in succession. The space in front of him was like a piece of cloth, shattering into pieces. Quintessence was quintessence. In the past, Xiao Chun had to use the Thunder Shadow Chop to shatter space. Now, he could tear space with a casual strike. I finally advanced to Martial Monarch. Unable to contain the excitement in his heart, Xiao Chun landed beside Ao Jiao with a so sound. He smiled and said, Ao Jiao, I advanced to Martial Monarch. Ao Jiao was happy for Xiao Chun in her heart. However, she maintained a calm expression and said, Go back first and stabilize your cultivation. You still cannot control your quintessence perfectly. The two of them returned the way they came. When a mound above them opened up again, a ferocious palm wind pressed down. After waiting for so long, it turns out that it is you, little bastard, who caused this commotion. Quickly take out the treasures that you obtained. The blue-robed old man had a ferocious expression. Quintessence covered his palm as he sent a ferocious palm wind at Xiao Chen's head. When faced with the sudden appearance of the blue-robed old man, Xiao Chun was startled at first. After all, anyone who was not mentally prepared would be shocked when suddenly attacked. After a while, Xiao Chun smiled gently. He had just advanced to Martial Monarch and had not had the time to test out his strength. The blue-robed old man had arrived at the right time. With a thought, the 3 drops of purple liquid in his dantian instantly poured into his meridians and turned into surging quintessence. Then, Xiao Chun sent out a punch. Bang! When the fist and palm met, a strong shockwave exploded out. In that instant, the 2 halves of the mound were shattered by the quintessence from the 2, kicking up a cloud of dust. Uchi! Uchi! The energy from Xiao Chen's fist was boundless and shockingly pure. The blue-robed old man was knocked back several dozen steps in the air before he could stabilize himself. When the blue-robed old man saw the light flickering on Xiao Chen's fist, he said in astonishment, This is quintessence. How did you advance to Martial Monarch in just half a day? The blue-robed old man could not be blamed for being astonished. When a regular cultivator reached the bottleneck of half-step Martial Monarch, they would open their sea of consciousness. Then, they would cultivate their mental energy and refine their essence. Only when they finished refining their essence would they be considered Martial Monarchs. Cultivators with strong talent for mental energy would need at least 3 months to do this. Those with weak talent for mental energy would need at least 2 or 3 years. Very few people could be like Xiao Chun. From the very start, his cultivation technique tempered his mental energy. Furthermore, he managed to open his sea of consciousness when he was a martial king. Mental energy was much stronger than essence. Even though Xiao Chun had reached the bottleneck of half-step Martial Monarch, his mental energy was still stronger than his essence. Hence, the speed at which he refined quintessence was astonishingly fast. Xiao Chun said calmly, There is no need for a person who is about to die to know so much. Earlier, you gave me a palm strike. Now, I will return the favor with a fist strike. However, the blue-robed old man laughed loudly. So what if you advanced to Martial Monarch? I became a Martial Monarch 10 years ago. My control of quintessence is incomparable to yours. This place is where the imperial capital of the Tianwu dynasty used to be. You must have obtained some miraculous medicinal pill. Otherwise, you would not have advanced to Martial Monarch so quickly. You just consumed the medicinal pill. Your body will not be able to digest it completely. After I capture you, I will extract your blood, skin you, and refine you again. My cultivation will definitely reach peak inferior grade Martial Monarch. Chi. Right after the blue-robed old man spoke, a faint blue quintessence appeared on his body. As the extreme flame burned, the quintessence turned into a pale white halo that surrounded him. His aura soared as he prepared to take down Xiao Chun in one move. Mountain pushing palm. After the blue-robed old man burned his quintessence, he sent out a palm strike. The air flowed in reverse. The force of his palm strike seemed to push the entire space. A strong pressure pressed down on Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun felt a slight pain in his bones, flesh, and skin. A regular cultivator would have been crushed into a meat patty before the palm strike arrived. Xiao Chun circulated his vital qi, and his strong physical body immediately became as hard as frost iron. He stood there like a mountain, allowing the wind to press down on him without moving. When the other party's palm strike was about 100 meters away, Xiao Chun circulated all 99 drops of purple liquid in his body. He finally made his move. He instantly drew the lunar shadow saber, giving off a dazzling light. Thunder shadow chop. Xiao Chun's aura flourished as he took 7 steps forward. With each step, he swung his saber. The quintessence on the saber surged, and every saber strike easily tore a tear in space. When he finished taking 7 steps, his aura reached its peak. The 7 afterimages merged, and Xiao Chun swung his saber. The immortal state of thunder made the electric light on the saber eternal and inextinguishable. Furthermore, it worked with his 60% comprehended saber intent. The might of this saber strike was unimaginably great. The electric light exploded and broke through the blue-robed old man's palm strike. Xiao Chun searched for an opening and pressed his saber forward. The other party's protective quintessence blocked for a while before it broke. Pu Ci. The quintessence contained in the saber light knocked the blue-robed old man back a kilometer. It left a bloody wound on his chest. It was so deep that bones could be seen. The purple quintessence was like a berserk bolt of lightning as it surged through the old man's body. It shattered the quintessence coming out of the other party's dantian. It was simply unblockable. The blue-robed old man vomited a mouthful of blood. He paled as he looked at Xiao Chun in horror. He muttered, "That's impossible. You just advanced to martial monarch. How is it that even after I burn my quintessence, I still cannot block your quintessence?" A heaven-ranked cultivation technique. He must be cultivating a heaven-ranked cultivation technique. Otherwise, he would not have such strong quintessence after advancing. When the blue-robed old man thought of this possibility, he no longer hesitated. He turned around and fled. The other party possessed a heaven-ranked cultivation technique and was an absolute genius. After he advanced to martial monarch, even inferior-grade martial monarchs would not be a match for him. The first rank of the true dragon ranking could not be judged with common sense. Xiao Chun continued flying. As Xiao Chun watched the blue-robed old man flee, he sheathed his saber and stood still. He was not in a rush to give chase. The quintessence in his body surged, and dragon roars came from his abdomen. A strong wind howled, and boundless shock waves spread out. Chapter 617. Blue Dragon Tail Whip. Xiao Chun shouted, and an ancient blue dragon appeared under his feet. The blue dragon tail swung gently, and an overwhelming force surged out. The blue dragon tail whip sent Xiao Chun's body flying in a long arc in the air, disappearing in an instant. Xiao Chun had cultivated the blue dragon cloud soaring art to small perfection long ago. However, he had always been limited by his cultivation, unable to bring out the true might of this heaven-ranked movement technique. Now that Xiao Chun had advanced to martial monarch, his quintessence surged. When the blue dragon tail whip was executed, its aura was extremely horrifying. A strong wind blew, and it arrived at the blue-robed old man's side. Spring Thunder Chop Die. Accompanying the strong wind was the first move of Xiao Chun's four-season saber technique. Spring thunder roared in the sky. Xiao Chun used his quintessence to drive the cycle of seasons. When the saber chopped down, it gave off an unparalleled sharpness. The blue-robed old man felt a chill in his heart. Extreme flame explode. The blue-robed old man knew he was no match for this unparalleled saber light. A pale white flame appeared in his palm. A white light as resplendent and dazzling as a star appeared in the center of the flame. This was the origin flame that the blue-robed old man had refined for decades. At the moment of life and death, he planned to explode this origin flame to buy time to escape. Who? The star-like origin flame flickered with light continuously. A horrifying energy spread out from it. Xiao Qian's face sank. That origin heart was already the size of a chicken egg. If it exploded, the power it would create would be terrifying. At such a close distance, Xiao Qian would definitely be injured. However, if he retreated, it would be difficult for him to catch up to the blue-robed old man. This person was a martial monarch. Furthermore, he was certain that Xiao Qian killed his son. Even if Xiao Qian was not afraid, he would still hurt his friends and family. If the other party became ruthless and hurt his friends and family, then it would be too late for regrets. This person must not be allowed to live. He had to stabilize this extreme flame first. After making up his mind, Xiao Qian quickly sheathed his saber and dissipated the force of this spring thunder chop. However, because he had just advanced to martial monarch, he had not reached the level where he could control his quintessence as he pleased. Some of his quintessence leaked out unavoidably, digging deep holes in the ground. Extreme flames go? He casually tore off the blue strip of cloth in front of his forehead, and an even paler flame floated out from between his eyebrows. In the center of the flame, there was also a speck of white light that was as bright as a star. It was the lunar flame's origin core. It was only the size of a grain of rice, but when it flew out and collided with the egg-sized origin core, the extreme flame, which had been extremely restless and violent and was about to explode at any moment, instantly calmed down. The rice grain-sized origin flame ignored the origin flame, which was countless times larger than it, and climbed up to devour it greedily. The lunar flame was the flame of the highest grade among the attributed flames. No matter how much the extreme flame resisted, it would only be swallowed up. Xiao Qian didn't even look at them. He leaped over the two tangled flames and continued chasing after the blue-robed old man. Damn it! How'd he catch up to us again? The blue-robed old man's face was ashen, and he sped up once more. Blue Dragon Tail Whip. No matter how fast he was, it was impossible for him to escape from Xiao Qian, who had unleashed the true might of the blue dragon cloud's soaring art. Spring Thunderchop, burning to desolation. Xiao Qian caught up to the blue-robed old man. This time, he did not give the blue-robed old man a chance to use his trump card. He executed both the spring and summer sabers consecutively. He used his quintessence to drive the power of the cycle of seasons. Heaven and earth trembled violently. Xiao Qian sheathed his saber. With these two sabers, the blue-robed old man's body turned into a pool of blood, his bones shattered. Amid the blood rain, a spatial ring flickering with a dim light appeared. Xiao Qian casually waved his hand, and the spatial ring flew over. Then he tossed it into his universe ring and ignored it. Xiao Qian looked around and saw saber chi, made of purple quintessence, filling the air. They pierced thousands of holes in space, leaving pitch-black holes in it. Xiao Qian frowned slightly and said, I just advanced to inferior grade martial monarch. I need to spend more time to control my quintessence. Otherwise, it will be very troublesome to fight a medial grade martial monarch like this. Xiao Qian calmly summarized the earlier battle. He did not feel any pride from defeating an inferior grade martial monarch. He was a king grade true dragon. He would not be inferior to anyone of the same cultivation. After cultivating a heaven-rank cultivation technique and advancing to martial monarch by swallowing a spirit vein's origin, it would be strange if he could not deal with an ordinary inferior grade martial monarch. Boom, boom, boom. At the same time, an intense battle took place in the lava in the distance. All sorts of explosions resounded without end. The lava did not have surging heat waves or boundless smoke. On the contrary, it was dark and gloomy, filled with a cold qi. It was incredibly gloomy, looking very strange. A green flower bloomed in the center of the lava. Its petals were jade green and crystalline. A gloomy green flame in the center of the flower gave off a dazzling light and a boundless chill. Needless to say, this green flame was the Netherworld flame seed. There were two 10-meter-tall black fire spirits in front of the petals. The black fire spirits were different from regular fire spirits. They already had eyes, a mouth, and a nose on their faces. Their eyes flickered with light. Clearly, they had some intelligence. There was also a layer of black cuticle on the surface of their bodies, looking like solid, natural armor. The people of the Holy Fire Manor fought the two Netherworld fire spirits intensely. The gray-robed old man faced one Netherworld fire spirit alone. The remaining half-step martial monarchs and peak martial kings of the Holy Fire Manor worked together to deal with the other. Based on the situation of the two sides, one could easily see the huge difference between a half-step martial monarch and a martial monarch. The gray-robed old man faced the Netherworld fire spirit alone. Not only did he not lose, but he even held the upper hand. After another few hundred moves, the Netherworld fire spirit would definitely lose. On the other hand, the group of 100 people with 10 half-step martial monarchs could only barely block the attacks of the Netherworld fire spirit. They could only wait for the gray-robed old man to finish and come over to help. I wonder how long Big Brother would be gone for. If he were here, we would have been able to take away the Netherworld flame seed long ago, the gray-robed old man thought to himself. However, he was not worried about the blue-robed old man's safety. Given his understanding of the blue-robed old man's strength, even if the blue-robed old man met a troublesome demonic beast, he should be able to escape easily. After Xiao Chun dealt with his opponent, he returned to where the extreme Yin Flame and the Lunar True Flame were fighting. As the Lunar True Flame swallowed the extreme Yin Flame's origin flame, it had shrunk significantly. However, it continued to resist tenaciously. The Lunar True Flame's origin flame was still too weak. If the blue-robed old man were still here, the extreme Yin Flame might have been able to devour the Lunar True Flame under his control. However, the blue-robed old man was already dead, and Xiao Chun had rushed back. No matter how the extreme Yin Flame resisted, it could not avoid its fate of being devoured. Xiao Chun's gaze sank slightly. He extended out his spiritual sense and took the initiative to control the Lunar True Flame. Chi. One had a master and the other had no master. The Lunar True Flame swallowed the Lunar True Flame at a much faster rate. Time slowly went by. After 1 hour, the last strand of light of the extreme Yin Flame faded away. Xiao Chun's Lunar True Flame finally swallowed it all. Heaving a sigh of relief, Xiao Chun said softly, actively swallowing it like this really exhausted a lot of mental energy. However, the result is still satisfactory. The Lunar True Flame's origin flame in the air in front of Xiao Chun had already expanded from its original size of a grain of rice to the size of a pearl. Xiao Chun pointed casually, and the palm-sized Lunar True Flame crashed into a stone pillar. Pusii. The stone pillar silently burned into a pile of rubble. The destructive power of the Lunar True Flame was a stark contrast to the berserk purple thunder true fire. Xiao Chun entered deep thought. Now that the Lunar True Flame already possessed some combat prowess, it would be very inconvenient to fight with it in the sea of consciousness. I already have the purple thunder true fire in my right eye. I'll put this Lunar True Flame in my left eye then. Xiao. A light flashed, and the Lunar True Flame, together with the Lunar True Flame's origin flame, entered his left eye. Xiao Chun closed his eyes and familiarized himself with the Lunar True Flame in his left eye. After a while, Xiao Chun opened his eyes. A purple light spread out from his right eye, and a fierce flame burned endlessly. His left eye flickered with a white light, and a cold qi spread out. It looked much weaker than his right eye. With a thought, the mysterious phenomenon in his eyes disappeared. Xiao Chun muttered, if I want to execute the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram in the stage of desire, I need to achieve a balance between yin and yang. The lunar true flame is still too weak. Even if the might of the purple thunder true fire is reduced by half, it will not achieve a balance between yin and yang. Boom! At this moment, a muffled explosion resounded at the end of their line of sight. At the end of their line of sight, a cold flame soared into the sky, illuminating the dark underground space with a deathly white light. It should be another martial monarch of the Holy Fire Manor preparing to retrieve the Netherworld Flame Seed. Let's go take a look. Circulating the blue dragon cloud soaring art, Shao Chun immediately soared into the air. Quintessence circulated in his body, and dragon roars came from his body. An indistinct blue dragon appeared under Shao Chun's feet. Carrying Shao Chun's feet did not touch the ground as he moved up and down. His speed reached Mach 5. Shao Chun's body tore through space, creating a long shock wave behind him. It was like two formless waves moving up and down. In less than 10 minutes, Shao Chun arrived at the scene of the commotion. A vast expanse of lava filled his vision. Under the gray-robed old man's lead, the Holy Fire Manor's people attacked the final Netherworld fire spirit in an orderly fashion. Under the gray-robed old man's strong attacks, the Netherworld fire spirit was forced back. The morale of the Holy Fire Manor's people soared, and they were filled with vigor. On a mound, Shao Chun's white robes fluttered as he looked at everything in front of him. Looking up, Shao Chun saw the green flower petals behind the Netherworld fire spirit. There was a clump of green flame in the flower petals, giving off a boundless cold light. That is the Netherworld flower. However, the Netherworld flame seed does not seem to have matured yet. The Holy Fire Manor's people were too anxious. Back then, the mature flame seed that the Thunder King took away was orange. Oh, Jiao said softly from the lunar shadow saber. Shao Chun felt somewhat disappointed. An immature flame seed was like an unripe fruit. No matter how precious it was, its value would be greatly reduced. Let's go. There is no need to remain here. The flame seed had not matured yet, so Shao Chun lost interest in fighting for it. He gave the blooming Netherworld flower one last glance before turning to leave. Wait a moment. If the immature flame seed is taken away, the Netherworld flower will immediately wither. From then on, there will no longer be a Netherworld flame. Rather than letting these people waste it, you might as well uproot the Netherworld flower and preserve the flame seed temporarily. Chapter 6:18. Shao Chun stopped and muttered, "However, without the nourishment of Yin energy, even if I uproot it, this Netherworld flower will wither soon." Ao Jiao smiled and said, "It's fine. Just store all the land in the universe ring. This Netherworld flower should be able to survive for about a year. When you go to the Kunlun realm, there is an immortal spirit ring for storing natural treasures. If you place this Netherworld flower in there, it will continue to grow. Furthermore, it looks like the Netherworld flower will mature soon. The Holy Fire Manor's people probably do not know much about the Netherworld flower. That's why they were so rash." Shao Chun had always done things in a straightforward manner, swift and decisive. If there was no value, he would leave immediately. If there was value in preserving it, the moment Ao Jiao spoke, he took action. A dragon roar came from Shao Chun's body, and an indistinct blue dragon appeared under his feet. In that instant, he leaped over everyone's heads and landed beside the Netherworld flower. Boom! When the Holy Fire Manor's people, who had just defeated the last Netherworld fire spirit, saw Shao Chun suddenly appear, they were all startled, their faces filled with rage. The gray-robed old man looked at Shao Chun, who had his back to them. His heart immediately sank as he stared at Shao Chun. The quintessence in his body surged, causing the gray-robed old man's clothes to flutter. The surrounding people all felt a significant pressure. "Who are you? Why are you snatching my Holy Fire Manor's Netherworld flame seed?" The gray-robed old man's aura pressed down on Shao Chun like a strong wind. His pupils constricted, and a murderous intent spread out. He clenched his right fist tightly, preparing to attack at any moment. Shao Chun's back faced the crowd. Under the pressure of the gray-robed old man's aura, he remained calm and collected. He said softly, "The netherworld flower is nurtured by nature. How can it be your holy fire manners? I want the flame seed. You all can go." "Huh, what a nurtured by nature. Well, my holy fire manner naturally belongs to my holy fire manner. How is it your holy fire manners turn to speak? You can stay as well." The gray-robed old man sneered. The aura that he had been accumulating for a long time suddenly erupted, and the shockwave caused dust to fill the sky. Stomping heavily on the ground, the gray-robed old man soared into the sky like a ferocious tiger, throwing a punch at Shao Chun. The wind howled, and quintessence covered his fist, giving off a faint glow. Hearing the sound of the wind, Shao Chun turned around and faced the ferocious punch. Unfazed, Zhang Xian clenched his fist and drove half of the Jinqi in his body before sending a punch of his own. Bang! When the two fists collided, Shao Chun did not move at all. On the other hand, the gray-robed old man, who rushed over like a ferocious tiger, flew back. The aura in his body turned chaotic, and he felt his arm go slightly numb. He looked at Shao Chun with a strange expression. He clearly felt that Shao Chun had just advanced to martial monarch. However, the surging quintessence far surpassed his. "It's you, white-robed bladesman Shao Chun. I have seen the True Dragon rankings name list before. It really is him, the first rank of this True Dragon ranking. Furthermore, he is a king-grade True Dragon genius. Even the geniuses of the 10 great sects and 8 noble clans lost to him. Isn't he only a half-step martial monarch? How did he advance to martial monarch in less than a month?" When the gray-robed old man saw Shao Chun's appearance, his expression changed drastically. The Holy Fire Manners people behind him also started discussing this matter. The gray-robed old man's expression sank completely. He said, "I only used 60% of my strength earlier. If you think you could defeat me with that, you are too naive." The gray-robed old man shouted and circulated all the quintessence in his body. Then he instantly burned it with an extreme flame. A blazing quintessence flame appeared on his body. The gray-robed old man's aura rose to peak inferior grade martial monarch, forcing the surrounding cultivators to take a few steps back. That oppressive aura was not something they could endure. Tiger roaring mountains and rivers. A huge ferocious tiger image materialized behind the gray-robed old man as he charged over again. He circulated all 99 drops of quintessence in his body and circulated his vital qi as well. Quintessence and vital qi merged as Shao Chun executed the first move of the Dragon Claw Fist, Berserk Dragon. A realistic dragon head appeared on Shao Chun's fist. The Berserk Dragon roared ferociously as it punched. Boom! The tiger and dragon clashed, roaring continuously. The instant the fists clashed, the tiger image behind the gray-robed old man crumbled. He vomited a mouthful of blood and went flying back. "I never said that I would use my full power." Shao Chun leaped forward and executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art. A blue dragon image flickered under his feet. In a breath, he caught up to the gray-robed old man. Berserk Dragon Claw. Shao Chun formed his left hand into a claw and swung it back. 5 azure-colored claw marks appeared and knocked the gray-robed old man back again. A dragon roar resounded in Shao Chun's chest. He brought out his small perfection blue dragon cloud soaring art to its limits. Shao Chun stood on the blue dragon image and moved up and down in midair, alternating between punches and claws. Bang! 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 At first, the gray-robed old man could still keep up with Shao Chun's rhythm. After exchanging a few moves, he slowly fell into a passive state, getting beaten up. Quintessence exploded on the gray-robed old man's body. The sound of bones breaking rang out continuously. The fists and claws did not stop. In midair, Shao Chun sent the old man flying like a sandbag. He only stopped after flying for 1,000 meters. The group of Holy Fire Manners elders and elite members were all dumbfounded. They could not believe what they saw. Normally, the second Manor Lord was an undefeatable existence in their eyes. Unexpectedly, He was beaten up by youth to the point where he could not retaliate. It was extremely tragic. A king-grade true dragon genius is not something we can imagine. He is already so powerful when he just advanced to martial monarch. Indeed, the second Manor Lord has already advanced to martial monarch for almost 5 years. However, he could not retaliate at all. This operation is probably going to fail. Even if the first Manor Lord comes, he will not be a match for him. Berserk Dragon Break. Shao Chun roared ferociously. The azure dragon head on his right hand and the dragon claw on his left merged, forming a complete blue dragon. Then, it soared towards the gray-robed old man. Bang! The gray-robed old man, who had just gotten up, vomited a large mouthful of blood. He could no longer get up. The surrounding Holy Fire Manor cultivators were all frightened. No one dared to make a sound. No one dared to go over and help. The strength that Shao Chun displayed was not something that people of their level could interfere with. The gray-robed old man was severely injured. When he saw Shao Chun walking over, he said hatefully, "The first Manor Lord will be rushing over soon. White-robed brat, you will not be able to escape death in the end." Shao Chun said softly, "Sorry to disappoint you. He will never be coming." "You killed him." The gray-robed old man exclaimed in extreme shock, his final hope dashed. Shao Chun did not answer the gray-robed old man's question. He casually flicked a strand of purple flame through the gray-robed old man's forehead and took away his spatial ring. Just as Shao Chun was about to leave, he discovered a pale, white flame coming out of the gray-robed old man's corpse. There was an origin flame the size of half a chicken egg in the flame. Shao Chun was slightly stunned. He said, "This is a pleasant surprise." The lunar true flame surged out from Shao Chun's left eye. After it swallowed up the origin flame, the lunar true flame's origin flame expanded once again. The lunar flame, which had been extremely weak all this while, finally had some killing power. After Shao Chun finished doing all this, he turned around and discovered that the other elders of the Holy Fire Manor and the many martial king elites had all scattered, disappearing without a trace. Shao Chun could not be bothered with you. He gently waved his right hand, and the lunar shadow saber appeared in his grasp. Then, he slowly floated above the netherworld flower. Shao Chun lowered his head and looked at the lava below. Then, he looked around and felt confident. Shao Chun drew the lunar shadow saber and swung it at the ground 4 times. 4 strands of purple saber chi shot out from the saber's edge. Ka-cha! Ka-cha! 4 cracks connected to each other appeared on the ground. It was like a piece of tofu. Shao Chun's saber chi carved out a perfect square. The netherworld flower bloomed quietly in the center. "Rise!" Shao Chun leaped down and smacked the ground heavily with his palm. The ground trembled violently. The square piece of land, separated by the crack, slowly rose up under the force of this palm. After it rose to a height of 100 meters, Shao Chun circulated all the quintessence in his body and chopped it in half. Shao Chun separated the huge piece of lava, which contained the netherworld flower, just like that. A dim light flashed in the universe ring. Shao Chun moved the piece of lava into the universe ring. "I'll leave from above. I just advanced to martial monarch. I have to find a place to familiarize myself with my current strength." After Shao Chun did all this, he looked up at the rock a kilometer above him. He could feel that the rock was not particularly hard. Shao Chun pushed off the ground and leaped up. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched upwards. A hole immediately appeared in the rock. Boom! After an unknown period of time, Shao Chun punched a hole in the mountain range at the bottom of the lake. Then, he reappeared in the lake. After a while, he was like a flood dragon coming out of the water. He kicked up huge waves, and the fresh air that he had not experienced in a long time blew over. After flying around, Shao Chun found an uninhabited island. He immediately landed and took out the spatial rings of the 2 martial monarchs. There was some anticipation in his eyes as he smiled faintly. The spatial rings of martial monarchs should not be too poor. I hope there will be some gains. First, Shao Chun opened the spatial ring of the gray-robed old man. Then, he looked around and immediately discovered more than 5,000 superior grade spirit stones filled with spiritual energy. What Xiao Chun lacked now were superior grade spirit stones. Naturally, he accepted them without standing on ceremony. There were very few superior grade spirit stones. However, there were a frightening number of medial grade spirit stones, a total of 3 million. However, when Xiao Chun thought about it, it made sense. There were only a few rank 4 spirit veins that could produce superior grade spirit stones in the Qianwu continent. It was easy to imagine how many superior grade spirit stones they produced every year. On the other hand, there were many rank 3 spirit veins that produced medial grade spirit stones in the Qianwu continent. Given the gray-robed old man's status, it was not strange for him to obtain such a large number of medial grade spirit stones. As for the miscellaneous items, such as a few inferior grade secret treasures and some earth-rank spirit weapons, Xiao Chun did not have much interest in them. He casually tossed them aside. After that, Xiao Chun opened the spatial ring of the blue-robed old man. As the first manor lord of the Holy Fire Manor, he should have more wealth than the gray-robed old man. Indeed, after Xiao Chun opened the spatial ring, he counted the number of superior grade spirit stones. There were more than 10,000 medial grade spirit stones. There were even more medial grade spirit stones, a total of 5 million. In total, Xiao Chun had a total of 8 million medial grade spirit stones.